the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, Seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Seek the truth.
Going on in the world right now. For years, there were 0 survivors of the attack on Pearl Harbor at the annual memorial. Bill Gates' 22-year-old daughter came out and said that it's terrifying for the boys who she brings home to meet her socially awkward father in his $63 million mansion. I could not imagine. Come on, the right guy will vibe with him and be socially awkward with him, I'm sure. In the last 3 years, women over 40 have had more babies than women under 20. A 17-year-old NASA intern discovered a brand new planet on his 3rd day in office. There is a trend amongst billionaires in China right now where they are having hundreds of children to build, quote, unstoppable dynasties. And China as a whole is about to impose a 13% tax on condoms to boost fertility nationwide. Japan only recorded 686,000 births in 2024, which is the lowest amount of births in Japan since 1899. Girls are officially now less likely than boys to say that they want to get married. Putin gifted a $22,000 motorcycle to a random Alaskan man, and no one really officially knows the reason why.
Anyone else notice weird things happening when you use free will?
So if you don't believe in hacking the system, please scroll. Because I just don't want. Okay. Thank you. So today, I was I had this impulsive thought to walk backwards because I saw a video of a girl doing it, and she was like, you gotta walk backwards, change your life, whatever. I'm like, okay. One day I was thinking about doing it. I didn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I was like, no, there's people. I can't. I couldn't get over it. But then today I was like, fuck it. So I turn around and start walking backwards for 10 seconds. I'm on a main road. It's a lot, but walking backwards for 10 seconds. I turn back around. The second that I'm facing forward again, the YouTube video that's playing in my headphones, it stops playing. I'm like, what the fuck? I pull it out. It's just the spiral of death spinning. I can't make this shit up, guys. I was like, right. When you do things that are unexpected, your body is not expecting, your mind isn't even expecting, and the environment around you is not expecting, you will experience sudden shifts. You will experience some weird shit happening to you.
Interesting.
I'm telling you. This is how you wake yourself up. Okay, and you realize that you do not have to be on autopilot. You are not an animal. You are not meant to be doing things repetitively without any control over them. You're supposed to intervene on your life.
Once again, I've created this series of videos because we're at a point in 2026 where we can't tell if some of these videos that are being posted all over social media are real or AI. Once again, the following video that I'm going to share with you looks too real to be fake. This video depicts an alleged alien playing basketball with military personnel and a private compound. Take a look at the video for yourself. Look at this.
Yeah. There's no way that's real, bro. Too out in the open.
I went ahead and tried to enhance the video at the point where the alleged alien is dunking on the rim, as you can see from here. Once again, the video looks very authentic, and I can't tell whether it's real or it's AI. I don't know who published the video. There are no AI watermarks on the video whatsoever. And I've seen other videos from different angles of the same exact basketball game. And once again, I'd love your opinion on this, because as I said before in other videos, there are claims that those alleged things are already walking amongst us. And once again, what if the video is not AI, and they're trying to prepare us for something that may be coming? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
This video is terrifying. Watch it. It's an urban exploration video. Do not do this, by the way. This animatronic is still there, and it has been abandoned since 2003. Look how big it is. 70 feet long.
Damn.
Giant dragon in Las Vegas. Look at the track it's on. You don't have to get that close to it. You really don't. Please step back. Here's it in water, by the way, which it used to be in 24/7 because it actually took place at the Excalibur show at the Excalibur Hotel in Las Vegas. Bro is absolutely massive, by the way. Bro would come out of this trap door, and he would breathe fire and have beef with this dude dressed like a wizard. It would be in this arena, which, what's that? That's the track it would come out on, and my submechanophobia is so disgusted by this photo alone. Not only that, here's what it looks like abandoned. Once again, do not go look at this. This is not safe. But this photo of it completely abandoned behind there with the water drained, oh my god. I hate literally everything about this. How are we feeling?
There is a major new AI scam, and this is insane. People are now using AI in some wild ways to Photoshop photos to get refunds on food, products, or anything really. People who have bought eggs are AIing that the eggs were cracked and then getting a full refund. Pretending that a perfectly fine box of cakes was actually squashed like this, and then yeah, getting a full refund. Or a picture of a hamburger on a DoorDash or a Deliveroo, absolutely fine, pretending it's pink, getting a refund. But this is extremely damaging to some of the smaller businesses who are on Deliveroo and other platforms that are getting exploited by these scams, as these people are having to pay out thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, in refunds when it was actually fine. It's also happening in products though, where people are buying like mugs and then pretending they were smashed, or more expensive items on Amazon, you know, $100, $200, and then getting them refunded. It just shows how crazy AI is getting, and these scams are going to get far more out of hand as time goes on, because these photos genuinely look real. You would not be able to tell that that is fake. So a lot of people are of course using this in their own favour to try and get refunds, but let me know your thoughts and I'll keep you updated.
Greenland.
If they keep doing that to the major companies, you know that's going to put a major stop to it, man. When they're hitting the small businesses, you're saying, you know, they don't care about that, but let them keep doing that to companies like Amazon and McDonald's or something off DoorDash, bro. They're gonna shut that down expeditiously, man. Don't mess with those main corporations, bro. Then maybe we'll see somebody actually try to take down AI, bro.
Is officially about to become part of the United States, voluntarily or involuntarily. This man said if they voluntarily gave up Greenland, he would give each citizen 10,000 or upwards of 100,000. And if they don't, he's just gonna go in and take it. Just like he went in and took the president of Venezuela.
We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. Because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, you know, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard one.
I don't know if it was only me that felt like this, but when I seen that he was going to pay them this money, I'm like, fool, you gave us a $1,200 stimulus check, but you willing to pay them upwards of 100,000? Certain shit just don't add up to me. You got that money to pay them, you better have the money to pay us too. What is you talking about? But anyway, how do y'all feel about this? Do y'all think this is a smart move? Do y'all think we need Greenland? And do y'all think he capping about if US don't get it, either China or Russia gonna get it?
There's that Star of Jacob that's popping up.
Dude, so scary.
So they're saying that this Star of Jacob is the same star that came about when Jesus was born, and that's the star that the wise men followed.
That's super dope.
So apparently this star appears every 2,000 years, and there's people saying that with this Star of Jacob appearing, that Jesus' return is inevitable.
And it was
Star of
huge.
Jacob?
Like, it's literally just like...
Or just a 2,000 year thing?
Yeah, weird, electric, like, it's different.
One dude said that if it is the Star of Jacob, like the one that appeared with Christ, he said, wouldn't it make sense that no one knew necessarily about Christ except for the three wise men, the shepherds, and Joseph and Mary, but it took 30 years for him to be known to the world. So could it be another 30 years before Jesus makes his appearance?
Try 3 years.
Please. If that's the one thing that we can get behind, I'm like, oh, give me 3 years. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm just tired of all this toiling.
Sorry for stealing them.
It's your birthday!
Should female basketball players get paid more money? Well, last night at the All-Star game, both teams wore t-shirts which read, "Pay us what you owe us," while the crowd of 16,000 people loudly chanted, "Pay them." You see, currently there's negotiations happening for a new collective bargaining agreement on how players in the league get paid. The players are pushing for a more dynamic salary model, where their pay rises as the league's revenue does, while the league wants a more fixed percentage model. But the issue is, according to critics, the league has never generated a profit. In fact, it's shown a trend of losing more and more money each year. For example, just last year, the WNBA reportedly operated at a $50 million loss in a single season. But while this may be true, there has been some growth. They recently signed a $2.2 billion media deal, which starts in 2026. New teams are joining, which will bring in expansion fees. Viewership has increased, and there's been an influx of plenty new sponsors. And although this isn't enough to make the league profitable yet, it's worth noting they aren't asking to be paid the same amount as men. Rather, they're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue share. Essentially, they're calling for a similar deal to what men have, where NBA players receive 50% of all basketball-related income, whereas right now, women receive around 20 to 25% under their revenue share model, which also works a little bit differently, but we won't get into that now. But unlike the WNBA, the NBA is extremely profitable, so some say that applying the same revenue sharing model isn't that simple. So the question is, what do you think? Should they get a better deal or not?
What kind of devil worshiping shit is going on in Pennsylvania? So police arrested a man in Pennsylvania after discovering over 100 skulls in his basement. They found over 100 skulls and skeletal remains in this man's basement. Oh, you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit.
Over
This
100 human skeletons were recovered, and that's in part. At this point, we are still trying to figure out how many of those are complete and what exactly we are looking at. A separate storage locker was found to be in Mr. Gerlach's possession. That also was an Ephrata. We found there 8 more human remains.
God damn.
Very simply, detectives have recovered an awful lot of bones at this point, and we are still trying to piece together who they are, where they are from, and how many we are looking at, and it's going to be quite some time before we have an answer.
Mind you, they're saying that this man has been robbing graves up to 200 years old in that Pennsylvania area, taking bones and storing them in his home. This man had infant bones. This man had bones up to 200 years old. And look at this shit. Police are looking into a Facebook group where they supposedly buy and sell skulls. What? Now you gotta ask yourself, how did the police find out all of this? They found out because they noticed human bones sitting in the back seat of a car near a cemetery. Bones in the back of a car in public. And then they searched his home. Skulls stacked on shelves. Bones sorted by type. Mummified hands and feet. So now the question just isn't what did he do? The question is, why did he do it? Why did he collect over 100 human skulls? Why keep them organized? Why store them like inventory? Because this wasn't random. This was impulsive. This was intentional. Y'all better pay attention.
You grabbed
100 human bones, man. What the hell is going on in 2026, bro? You're starting this year off crazy, man. The fact that he said that somebody saw them, that he just had some bones in a car by the cemetery. So he's reading graves? What was the purpose, man? Over 100 in his basement? And they just now finding out? Something not adding up.
the statue and pull. It would stretch like a slinky for dozens of feet. And this is because these sculptures are made by taking a sheet of paper and painting on thin strips of glue through a metal grate. And when the next sheet is placed on top, the grate is shifted slightly, making an alternating glue pattern when it's put together. And this is repeated thousands of times until there's multiple stacks. Then squiggly shapes are cut out with a spinning blade and glued on top of each other to form a blocky head. Finally, it's shaved down and smoothed with sandpaper, giving a lifelike statue you can pull apart. Just try not to drop it.
This is how crazy AI has gotten.
Does it work when I speak as well?
I have not tried that before, so let me try it and see
What it looks like. This is what we're capable of today. You can be anybody you want. You can change your clothes. You can change your face. You can change your voice. Whatever you want to do, you can do that. I think this is pretty cool. I think the future of acting will just be acting.
We're literally to the point where we cannot trust anything that we see. We're about to have catfishing at its all-time high.
scams at its all-time high.
Yo.
Imagine one of your family members send you a video saying that they need some money. And really, whole time, it's somebody else using an AI-generated video to trick you. The future, it's looking scary. But y'all let me know what's y'all thoughts on how far has AI gotten in the comments. Like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned. And if you want exclusive content, comment down below YouTube and I'm going to DM you the link.
You know there was an Epstein Island before Epstein Island? Wait, what? wait. Apparently, this guy named Francis Sheldon in Michigan bought an island, North Fox Island. He was a millionaire and he made an airstrip so he can fly out and fly in kids to this island.
Oh my god.
He made a boy camp. You come in, underprivileged kids, and then you learn about nature, right? There was parents that were getting complaints about these staff members that would literally say, go into the cabin and take all your show me this, show me that, use these, and they would fly in clients, other rich millionaires to come see these kids at these boy camps.
Wow.
I'm like, yo, this is exactly
That's
this is literally what Jeffrey Epstein was doing.
Yeah.
But this guy, he actually got away with it. Once he knew we were gonna come and get him, he literally took a flight out to another country, started a whole new life there, and got rid of all the evidence before they could actually like do a full search on him.
So he never got charged for it?
He never got charged.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy, man. What's up with these freaking millionaires buying these islands, bro? And doing horrible things on them, man. Gotta keep an eye out, bro.
Y'all got me fucked up right now. So you're telling me that there's a sacred fluid flowing through my spine right now? And if you knew what it could do, you would never waste it again? Cerebral spinal fluid. That's what they call it.
Teach us, bro.
Obviously, it's supposed to protect your brain and all that rah-rah. You feel me? But why did the ancients know so much about it? Can anybody read this? Basically, they call it the oil or Christ oil. And this is potentially what it looked like. This being healthy is this being, you need to go get checked on. Oh, I got y'all. This why y'all should watch my old videos on the reflexology charts in the hands and the feet. Because this is what you're looking for. So that sacred oil that goes down, it goes back up every month in specific alignments with the moon. Y'all ain't understand that? So in order for y'all to understand this, you feel me? You have to understand this. In order for you to understand this, you need to understand this.
Oh.
Because only then will you be able to master this. You feel me?
Your footsteps can now power an entire city block, and no one is talking about it. Engineers just built the world's first energy sidewalk, and every time you step on it, you generate electricity. Here's how it works. The tiles are made with piezoelectric material, so when your foot compresses the tile, it creates a small burst of power. One step equals about 5 joules of energy. It doesn't sound like much, but multiply that by thousands of people walking every hour, and suddenly you're powering streetlights, sensors, and speakers, all from people just walking to work. The first sidewalk was installed as a pilot project on a short stretch of pavement just to see if it would work, and it did. Now imagine this scaled across every major city, in train stations, airports, shopping centers, and stadiums. 20 years ago, sidewalks were just concrete. Now they're power plants hiding in plain sight. The craziest part is you don't even notice it's happening. You just walk and the ground does the rest. What city do you think should install this first? Drop it in the comments, and if you enjoyed stories like this, follow my page for more.
You mean that the sky turned pink in England today? Just when you thought the city of England couldn't get any more worser, today in Birmingham, England, people were going outside and crashing out because the sky was so pink that it was basically purple. And I didn't even believe that it was real at first. But this is where it gets more worser because that are trying to grow the grass. Even more insaner, a lot of people were speculating that this was something from the Stranger Things creators, hinting that there was going to be an episode 9 because the sky looks like the Mind Flare. But even more sadder, when you finally thought that something cool and magical happened in the city of England, turns out that it's just LED lights. But at least y'all have tuna on jacket potatoes. Would you ever visit England?
At the most recent UFO hearings, it's been suggested that extraterrestrial aliens could have bases here on the Earth. and that those bases would most likely be underwater, whether in an ocean or a deep, deep lake. Now this idea comes as no shock to me, since I've been talking about this for 15 years. Yeah, for at least 15 years I've been saying, if aliens had a base, extraterrestrial aliens, on the Earth or to observe the Earth, the best two places to have it would be in the oceans or on the moon, unless the moon itself is some kind of alien-based technology. The reason I believe this is because human beings are violent. We're a violent species. Imagine if extraterrestrials, aliens, came from a place where they've never killed another life form. And when they observe Earth, the people of Earth, they see us eating other life forms. That would absolutely freak you out. So if they had some kind of base here on the Earth, they wouldn't want it anywhere humans can walk up to. But my question is, what do you think of the possibility that extraterrestrial aliens have bases on the Earth? Let me know. Here, on the forehead. Well, not there. How about the comment section? Shabadoo Bushkis. Shabadoo.
Check this video out, y'all. So this lady lives in California, right? And you guys know what's happening in California right now. All the crazy weather anomalies, right? So she goes in and does her regular routine AC filter change, right? But this time it's a lot different. She puts up her flashlight up to this dirty one, and this thing starts buzzing like it's got some electromagnetic disturbance interfering with it, y'all. But that's not it. She goes to the new one, and the new one doesn't do it at all. Is there something in this filter that's causing the biofeedback or the buzzing, y'all? Listen to this.
What the hell, y'all? Watch this and listen.
I hear it. Well, what's happening with this bulb, man?
Every time we put the flashlight to it,
Y'all see the particles that's raining down in California? Look at the particles. Look at that, y'all.
You know what?
Something in it, bro. I know.
What's going on? Look, now she gets the new one. She shines the light to the floor. Here's the old one, and here's the new one.
The clean filter. Don't do it. Yo, what the fudge?
No sound.
Y'all hear that? Nothing, right? Now listen.
Oh, I'm out.
Why is the dirty filter doing that?
Now again, y'all, this is in California. Is something going out there in the fog? Is there something in the fog? Now, allegedly, TikTok, they say there is smart dust out there. Allegedly, could this be coming inside of our homes and making the filter, and making this flashlight react to the filter? This is very interesting, y'all. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about this video. Let's get this shit. Peace out.
Dirty filter doing that.
How am I just finding out now that there's going to be an Olympics next year where the athletes are allowed to take performance-enhancing drugs?
What?
It's called the Enhanced Games, and while it's got nothing to do with the Olympics organization, in fact, I don't think they like this idea at all, they promise to have all of the same events, including freaking combat sports, while the athletes can pump, juice, and dope however they see fit. The founder, Aaron D'Souza, says that they want to break every world record there is, and claim that these games will fundamentally change the trajectory of not just sports, but humanity as a whole. However, not everyone's on board with the idea. The head of the US Anti-Doping Agency called it a dangerous clown show. Two-time Olympic champion Kieran Perkins said it was borderline criminal and that someone would die if it was allowed to go ahead. Now, in response to the criticism, the Games actually believe that sport could be safer without drug testing, saying that because athletes would be able to openly seek performance-enhancing drugs, they wouldn't have to buy them from shady illicit sources, and that medical advice and monitoring will be on hand at all times to pick up any danger signs in the athlete's systems. That's not even the part that I found the most interesting, because they also claim that most Olympians don't get paid a salary and are driven into debt.
I started driving for DoorDash.
I worked at Panera. Okay, the financial strain is huge.
Highlighting that the tennis players who lose the first round of Wimbledon take home double the amount of prize money that a gold medal winning US Olympian would receive. They say that any athlete who decides to compete in the Enhanced Games will receive a base salary and compete for prize winnings which will be larger than any other comparable event in history. So the question is this a dangerous idea that undermines all of the sports, or a genius idea that disrupts a system that needs to be changed?
This is what happened to this.
I think that's a dangerous idea, man. But once again, what did it all come down to, man? The root. It came down to the root of all evil, as I say, man. Money. People They're doing this for money, man, and I'm guaranteed there's gonna be probably a lot of people in those games, man, just because the money they're gonna get at the end of that event. But it ain't worth it, man. That's crazy that they're actually gonna go through with that.
His fiancée that went missing 6 days before her wedding day. On September 8th, 2009, 24-year-old Annie Lay vanished while attending Yale, where she studied pharmacology. Not only was Annie completing graduate school, but she was also working at Yale's Animal Research Center. On this night, Annie's roommate became extremely worried when she failed to come home. Her roommate immediately reported Annie missing, and when police took a look at the surveillance footage, Annie was seen entering the Animal Research building at around 10 a.m., but was never seen leaving. When police entered the lab that Annie was in, they found her personal items, but she was nowhere to be found. At first, investigators believed that Annie got cold feet and ran away because her wedding was in a couple of days. But when investigators discovered that 24-year-old lab technician Raymond Clark was the only person who had access to Annie's lab room that day, they started to take a closer look at him. Investigators began looking into all the data from everyone's access cards, and they discovered that not only did Annie not leave the building that day, but she also entered room G13 and she never left that room either. But that's not all. They also noticed that Raymond used his access card 55 times that day to go in and out of the labs. Bloodstains, Raymond's DNA, and a piece of clothing that Annie wore on that day were also found in the lab room. And a few days after Annie's disappearance, the building began to smell like human decomposition. Cadaver dogs led investigators into a restroom in front of the lab room, and Annie's body was found behind a toilet inside a panel. And get this, Annie's body was found on the same day that she was supposed to get married. It's believed that Raymond took Annie's life because he wanted to be with her and because her wedding was coming up. Raymond was sentenced to 44 years in prison without the possibility of parole.
Jealousy, evil thing.
After she found out what he did to the children. Terry Weems and James Weems Jr. both own this daycare center called Kids Castle. James was a retired police officer, but at the daycare he worked as a bus driver for 2 years. A police officer confronted Shantiri and they told her that her husband was under investigation for SAing a child and that during the time the daycare would be shut down. Shantiri talked to James and asked him about the whole situation, and he said he had done nothing, and at the time she did believe him. A mother of a child from the daycare ends up talking to Shantiri, and she tells her that James is responsible, and she could just tell by the look on the mom's face that she was not lying. Once Shantiri hears this, she feels like her world is falling apart. She's truly heartbroken. That's when she realizes that she has to take matters into her own hands. Shantiri and James were staying at a hotel room in Washington, D.C. when she decided that she was going to confront him about the allegations. The two end up getting in an argument, and that's when Shantiri shoots James in the neck and the thigh.
Damn.
Shantiri states that she wanted to paralyze James because she was just so angry. Shantiri pled guilty to aggravated assault and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. As for James, he faces over 30 counts of child SA charges.
You guys, this is crazy. This couple from China was executed on Wednesday because they threw his 2 small children out of 15-story apartment windows so they could start a new life together. Her name is Ye Chengchen and his name is Zhang Bo. And when they started seeing each other, he never told her that he was married and had kids. So when she found out, she wanted all 3 of them out of the picture. He eventually divorced his wife in February of 2020. They had a 2-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son, and their custody agreement said that the mom would have the daughter and he would have the son until he turned 6, and then the son would go and live with the mom. But Ye apparently saw the kids as being a burden and an obstacle on them being able to have a future together. So over the course of the next 9 months, she urged and eventually persuaded him to get rid of the kids. In November of 2020, he called his ex-wife and asked if he could have the daughter for the day. And when she got there, the kids were playing near this window, and according to reports, he allegedly lifted the kids by their legs and just threw them out.
Cold-blooded.
He tried telling police that he had been asleep and had no idea that anything had even happened until he heard neighbors screaming, but authorities called BS on that pretty quick. They were both found guilty of first-degree premeditated murder, and they were sentenced to death in December of 2021. But then there was this lengthy appeals process, and the court said that their first decision was absolutely appropriate, and they upheld their sentence. This is the kid's mom. As you can imagine, she was completely beside herself.
Things people do. So that was all based on a game, and not, I guess there wasn't no validity to it, because they had the backgrounds and shit said it was in the Appalachian Mountains. What do you guys think about that one? Edit, or was that real?
Was bit by this priest when she tried to receive the Holy Communion.
Tried to force it into my mouth. And I was like, no, you're not going to do that. And he's like, you want the bread, right? And I was like, not this way. So again, I'm not going to front. I went and I tried to grab another cookie, and that's when he grabbed my hand, and he just bit me, and I tried to just back away, but it was very indented before, and then, volunteer. Yeah, people that stay in church right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and you want to press charges?
Yes.
Okay.
This happened in Florida during a Sunday Mass at St. Thomas Aquinas Church when this woman came up to receive the Holy Communion and was denied by the priest. She then put her hand inside where the priest held the host and tried to take it for herself. The priest then bit her arm so that she would let go, and he said that he had no other choice and that it's his duty to protect the Holy Communion. Now, this woman argues that the priest refused to give her the communion because she's a lesbian. But when authorities spoke to the priest, he said that he didn't even know that information and clarified that there's a rule that before anyone receives the communion, they need to confess first, which she apparently didn't do.
You said it, and the nice lady out there said the same thing, that as long as you do the correct steps for the religion, you can receive communion just like everybody else.
Of course.
Okay.
I know people who are homosexuals. They are not in a relationship. They want to be full Christians. They are following the rules, and I give them the communion. I'm not judging them. It's not my,
But this woman said that she genuinely felt like she was treated this way because of her sexual orientation and will be pressing charges.
These are videos you can never watch at night. We all know how there's some videos where you just can't watch them at night because they're that scary.
Yep.
Well, in this series, I'll be showing you all of those videos. So be ready to get terrified.
Who are you? What's wrong with you? What?
Well, I know I'm not sleeping after watching that video. This video has been going viral recently and nobody knows the origins of it. It shows what appears to be a ghostly woman standing outside of some man's window at night. And she says something took her daughter and did this to her. But nobody knows what that is. The man who uploaded the video hasn't updated anybody on if he's seen her again, or if he's okay, leaving people to worry about him. But I can't imagine looking out my window at night and seeing this.
This video is
I feel like that was an
terrifying,
edit.
especially if you have children, so please be warned before watching. On the 19th of April, a group of school children were out playing in broad daylight. They were students of Black Forest Hills Elementary School in Colorado. At around 2:20 p.m. on the day in question, one of the 5th graders' lives would be changed forever. CCTV captured an absolutely horrifying experience. 33-year-old ex-offender Solomon Galligan chased and attempted to kidnap one of the small children.
What?
Luckily, he tripped over a blanket as he tried to pursue the little boy. He continued to lunge at the small child as the kid screamed stranger danger
Nobody
to
helped?
teachers. Now, initially, Solomon did manage to flee the area and escape for a short while. The child, though, managed to give staff a description of the man. The teachers sent out an email alerting the parents to the danger, and one of the parents actually spotted him in a local Walgreens about a mile away. They reported this to police, and police turned up and arrested him. The little boy's mum said he was so traumatized he hadn't slept in 3 days. She says that it was thanks to the quick thinking of the other students who screamed and alerted the teachers that his life was saved. Several parents state that their children reported back to them that the teachers at the time of the incident were just stood on their phones. Solomon is being held in jail and is charged with child abuse and attempted kidnapping. Solomon actually already has an extensive criminal history and has been convicted of SA previously, but for some reason was roaming free.
This is the India train video, one of the worst videos on the internet explained.
Break it down.
This video that I'm about to explain is extremely awful, and it's known as one of the worst and most gruesome accidents ever recorded. The video was recorded in India, and it's around 30-ish seconds long. The video starts, and you are immediately hit with a disturbing sight. You see the aftermath of a man who had just gotten hit by a train, and it's likely this man had did this to himself. The man has a pretty large crowd around him filming the situation on their phones. The man has been completely cut in half, and you can see his intestines hanging out of his body. And crazy enough, the man is still conscious and aware, but he is in a state of extreme shock. The crowd surrounding him, which also includes children, continue to look on and observe. And despite being cut in half, the man appears to stand up on his hands, and he manages to do this for about a second, until he hits the ground again. He falls on his back, but then rolls over so he is lying on his chest, and begins to try and crawl. And at this point, people in the crowd can be seen kneeling and getting closer as they are recording what's happening on their phones. And this is where the video then concludes. This is a very short video, but it's insanely graphic. This video is also kind of aggravating to me because the crowd of people around the man are more worried about recording what's happening rather than helping a man who was just cut in half by a train. Obviously, nobody could have helped him at this point, but wouldn't you think at least one person would come over and comfort him in his last moments of life? I don't know, I just think it's sad. Also, what makes it worse is that one of the people in the crowd recording uploaded the video online for the whole world to see.
Of course.
I don't recommend searching for this video at all, as it is very disturbing and not something you want to watch.
This could be the most hated woman in America. This is 66-year-old Marcella Chidester. And in April of 2024, Marcella took off driving in her vehicle, even though she was far beyond blackout drunk. Now, Marcella was a somewhat distinguished woman in her community in Michigan. She had one point been a Commodore at a place called the Swan Boat Club, a bougie area for people to park their boats, have parties, and to enjoy some time in the sun in the Michigan summer heat. However, on that terrible day in April, Marcella took off driving in her vehicle. Like I said, hammered, drunk, she left the tavern that she was at, and she was speeding through the parking lot of the boat club when she crashed through a wall. Here's a photo of the damage that she caused with her vehicle. And sadly, on the other side of that wall, a children's birthday party was being held. And unfortunately, after striking that wall and crashing into the building at a high speed, 2 children would be killed. Those kids were 8-year-old Lena Phillips and her 4-year-old brother, Zane Phillips. Both of these 2 innocent angels were pronounced dead at the scene. In addition, a 14-year-old male and an 18-year-old female were both seriously injured, all because of Marcella's selfish actions. Marcella's eventual arraignment was absolutely heartbreaking and filled with so many tears from everybody that was there. Truly, the videos and photos of this event are some of the most heartbreaking I think I've ever seen. And as someone that has struggled with alcoholism in my past and kind of beaten it to a degree, stories like this really hit home for me. There's nothing more selfish in this life than getting behind the wheel of a vehicle when you're blackout drunk. It is crazy to me. And it's because of this one woman's selfish actions that there are 2 less children in the world today. And I really hope that she is persecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
The thing I never got, Seekers, man, is like, bro, like he said, if you think you can get that, like, you know, man, why don't you just have like a designated driver, call a Lyft or Uber? Like, there's no reason to risk your life or risk somebody else's life just because you trying to drive home. It's never worth it, man. Stories like this make me don't even want to drink. I don't drink, but that's just another sign already of me to stay away from that type of stuff. Blurry actions like that, I stay away from that, man. Where the sky, you know, these edit, call them out when they see him, man.
The man behind me is the real-life human Dracula.
Come again?
His name is Tsutomu Miyazaki. He was born with a deformity that fused his wrists with his hands, so he was bullied a ton growing up. Then one day, later on in adulthood in 1988, something snapped in him. He started abducting little children, specifically little girls, and engaging in necrophilia. He would strangle his victims to death and then engage with their corpse. He would even go as far as removing some of their body parts like their hands and feet and even their teeth. One way that made him also very similar to Jeffrey Dahmer, he would pose these bodies in different ways and photograph them. On one of his last instances before he got caught, he drank the blood of a little girl. And then right after that, he ate her hand. One day, he was at the playground trying to take pictures of more little kids, and the father intervened and stopped him. So Mr. Dracula behind me fled on foot, naked, and was caught by the cops later on. That's when they discovered his disturbing collection of photos and body parts inside of his apartment. However, he blamed it on his alter ego named the Rat Man. They were not playing any games with this guy. They immediately sentenced him to death. The government hung him on June 17th of 2008. Let me know what you guys think about the Rat Man or Dracula in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
This is
disgusting
John
ass
List, and
case.
in 1971, he murdered his entire immediate family before escaping and starting a completely new life that he lived for more than 17 years before he was eventually caught.
How?
This is a wild story. I covered it on the latest episode of my podcast, but here's an overview. In 1951, John List married Helen Taylor, and together they had 3 children, Patricia, John Frederick, and Frederick. List had served in the Army and was an accountant with a successful career, working as a comptroller for a bank in Jersey City, New Jersey. The family lived in a 19-room mansion in Westfield, New Jersey called Breeze Knoll. And 5 of them, along with John's mother Alma, who was also living with them, were swimming in space there. The family seemed to have a happy life here. It seemed like John was successful, and they weren't super social, but everything seemed fine. The kids were popular and hardworking, and nobody knew anything bad about the family. Behind closed doors, things were not as they seemed. Helen was an alcoholic and was extremely ill from contracting syphilis from her first husband. And John List had lost his job at the bank. But instead of telling his family, he basically went to work every day pretending that he was going to his job and coming home after work hours. And he started skimming money off of his mother's bank account to help pay the mortgage. But then on November 9th, 1971, John List would do the unthinkable. That morning, he dropped the kids off at school and returned home. When he got home, he took out one of his guns, approached his wife of almost 20 years, and shot her in the back of the head. He then went up to the attic apartment where his 84-year-old mother lived and shot her as well. When 16-year-old Patricia and 13-year-old Frederick arrived home from school, List attacked them from behind, shooting them each in the back of the head. List then made himself some lunch. He went into the bank and closed both him and his mother's accounts, and then he went to Westfield High School where he watched his middle son, John Frederick, play a soccer game. After the game, he drove 15-year-old John Frederick home. And when they got home, he attacked. John Frederick tried to fight back, but unfortunately he ended up succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. List then placed the bodies of Helen, Patricia, John Frederick, and Frederick on top of sleeping bags in the mansion's ballroom. He left Alma up in the attic apartment because she was too heavy to drag down. He then wrote a letter to his pastor confessing what he had done, and he wrote letters to the kids' schools saying that they would be gone visiting a sick relative for a few weeks so nobody would suspect them missing. Then he walked around the house and removed every single photo of himself from all of the photo albums. Finally, he started piping religious music throughout the home, and then he left. By the time the bodies were discovered a month later, John List was long gone. And while he was the immediate main suspect in the murders, police didn't have a lot to go on, and they were unable to circulate a recent photo of him because he had removed every single photo of himself from inside the house. The family's car was found at JFK Airport, but John List went undetected for almost 18 years.
Well, let's talk about one of the scariest urban legends that actually turned out to be true. In the 1970s in Long Beach, California, there was an amusement park called the Pike Amusement, and inside this park was this creepy little fun house called Life in the Dark. Inside of Life in the Dark were a bunch of mannequins, and this urban legend started circulating around that all of them were fake except to one. There was just something about this mannequin that turned people away. They said he was a little too human, and they even said that the area around it was just stanky. So flashing forward to a few years later, a TV crew comes in to film The $6 Million Man, and they decide to use Laugh in the Dark as one of their sets. So the director's trying to get the perfect shot, and this one mannequin that's been in question is in the shot, but he's just not liking how it's looking with it in it. So he asked one of the crew members to move it. So this crew member goes over, and when he tries to move the mannequin, its arm falls off. Inside is human bone. It's actually a mummified body. The body belonged to Elmer McCurdy, who was dubbed the bandit who wouldn't give up. He was an outlaw who was robbing a train in Oklahoma in 1911 when he was taken out by the police. His body was on display at an Oklahoma funeral home, but ownership changed and he got shifted around and around and around until he finally ended up at the Pike Amusement, and everyone thought he was fake until he was finally positively ID'd in 1976.
This is why you
That's
should never
insane.
read someone else's diary. Once there was a girl named Samantha who took her friends to her dad's lake house because her dad grew up in the area and actually named the lake after her, Lake Samantha. But as soon as her friends arrived, they noticed something strange. There was a doll hanging on every door in all the houses in town. Samantha explained it's because of a local urban legend. Years ago, a man escaped from an insane asylum nearby, unalived his entire family, then disappeared. Since then, people would go missing around the same time every year, so the dolls were used for protection. But after spending a day by the lake, Samantha and her friends found an old diary, half buried in the dirt near an abandoned house. They opened it up and saw multiple entries dating back to the 80s. But the most terrifying part was the last entry dated August 13, 2010. And it said, "I'm so proud of my daughter. She doesn't hear the voices and she has a lot of friends. Sometimes I take her to these woods. I even named the lake after her." That's when they all heard the sound of twigs snapping behind them. And when they turned around, they saw Samantha's father, saying, "You weren't supposed to find that. Follow for more."
Records that will never be broken again. Number 1, the woman with the most children. Back in the 1800s, a Russian woman named Vasiliev gave birth to 69 total children.
God
she
damn.
had 16 pairs of twins, 7 triplets, and 4 quadruplets. And no one has come close to matching that number since. Number 2, the most nuclear explosions ever survived. This is Tsutomu Namaguchi. He has survived 2 different nuclear explosions. Tsutomu was on a business trip when the first nuclear bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. After miraculously surviving that explosion, he returned to his hometown of Nagasaki just in time to witness the second atomic bombing. But again, he miraculously survived and lived till the age of 93.
Do you know how lucky you have to be to survive 2 of those events in history? Yeah, something on his side. Because he survived 2 of them. That's insane. And those women who held those kids, I don't think that record's probably ever going to be broken. 69? What the hell?
Are the creepiest YouTube channels to ever exist.
Talk about it.
Part 1. Number 1, Meat Sleep. Meat Sleep began posting in 2015 and has since then stopped posting, but that still doesn't change the fact that its horrifying videos and very disturbing history linked to the channel gives it a spot on this list. Meat Sleep then removed the several videos it had on the channel even after garnering over 16,000 subscribers, but that still doesn't change the fact that some people saw some very terrible things. Most of the channel consisted of videos that seemed to be of people being stalked, but there was one video in particular that people pointed out that really just got under their skin. There was one video on the channel titled Meat Pig, which in cannibals' terms is actually human meat. Many people believe that the creator behind these videos is secretly a murderer and a cannibal as well. I assume the creator of this channel is still unknown, but who knows, they may be in jail.
And they was posting on the YouTube and getting away with it? That was evidence right there. Man. Meat Sleep. First time hearing about that, man. Top in with us, you're gonna learn. Just edit.
This
All them
teenager
out.
killed his mom over a bad grade. This is 15-year-old Gregory Ramos. And on November 2nd, 2018, Gregory Ramos got into a fight with his mother, Gail Clevenger. The fight started over his bad school grades, which resulted in him strangling his own mother to death. Gregory then proceeded to call 2 of his friends to help him bury her body and stage a robbery at his house. Gregory buried her body under a church fire pit and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Now, what I'm about to show you is Gregory explaining exactly how he committed the murder, and it's absolutely disturbing, because keep in mind, this was his own mother.
Whatever. Alright, I'll tell you what happened. Alright, so I got home, I got an argument with my mom, she slapped me across the face, she began to hit me, she started beating me, I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death. Alright? I put her in a wheelbarrow, I put her in my car, I took the car, I had a mental breakdown where I almost committed suicide 3 times. I drove around Daytona, I dropped the wheelbarrow in some random ass location, and I drove back to the church. I began to dig a hole. I dig a hole right under the fucking fire pit. I dug a pretty deep hole, pretty deep. Yeah, deep enough to put a body in.
No remorse.
All this time body in there. Fill back in. Made it look all nice and natural. Dumped my clothes. And then I went home.
I'm being serious. If you ever see this at the beach, do not touch it. And if it ever latches onto you like this, get help immediately. Before you do anything else, favorite this video because this could actually save your life one day. Now, at first glance, like me, you would think this is an alien creature from the deepest corners of hell. Whereas in fact, this is actually a detached octopus limb. And yes, if an octopus's arm becomes disconnected from its body, it does have the ability to live on for a short period of time by itself, explaining why it's able to move like a creature straight out of an alien movie. This, of course, is absolutely horrifying and a brand new conversation to bring up with your therapist if you saw this going about its business on the beach. Now, the suction power of this single arm would be incredibly difficult to remove on your own, because if you didn't know, one suction cup from an octopus can hold up to 35 pounds. And I am talking Great British. And on top of that, hurts. Like, really badly. Now, this most likely wouldn't make this gentleman a Twitter hashtag. However, I wouldn't like to imagine if this was stuck on a more sensitive part of the body. Like the neck. So here's the best case scenario. You see it, you avoid it, you survive. I've said this to literally anyone you know because they might need this video one day.
In 2010.
That's crazy, bro. I didn't even know freaking an octopus, I guess arm or leg had that much freaking suction power, bro. So if you see it, follow his advice, turn away, bro. Don't try to attach that onto your body, man. We learned it.
And an avid caver named Jeff decided to go to Madagascar to explore a natural cave shaft he had discovered years earlier. He arrived in country. Jeff enters the cave when he notices something out of the corner of his eye, and he sees thousands of black widow spiders trying to escape the light. As much as Jeff wanted to stop right there and go right back up to the surface, he couldn't. He needed technical gear, and his technical gear was packed in his backpack, and so he would have to descend to the bottom, then take his pack off, get the gear out, and go back up. He began his slow, awful descent into this cave filled with spiders. If he bumped into the wall, he'd hear them scatter all over the walls, and then he saw them climbing on his sleeve, he saw them on the rope. He finally gets to the bottom, and he opens it up. Spiders crawl out of his bag, carefully reaches in and pulls out his technical gear, throws it up, and he begins making his way back up. Once he gets to the surface, the first thing he does is he strips all of his clothing off to get all the spiders off of his clothing. Luckily, he doesn't get bent, and he takes his notebook out, and he scratches off the title he had given this cave from the last time he was here, which was the Crooked Tube. He scratches that out, and on top of it, he writes, "The entrance to hell."
Things we all believed as kids. For some reason, I thought that if I swallowed watermelon seeds, an entire tree would grow inside of me. Now at night, if you didn't start running to your room as soon as you turned off the lights, the monster that was somehow chasing you would catch you and eat you. A blanket could literally protect us from anything, and I would still argue that my blanket is a modern day shield. My parents used to tell me if I crossed my eyes for long enough, my eyes would stay stuck that way forever.
Yep, those were like myths as the kids.
Things you can't unsee. The KFC logo looks like Colonel Sanders has a tiny body. Now I can never unsee it. Have you ever noticed that the letter G is simply a spinning arrow? Those drowning signs at the beach look very similar to LOL. There's nothing funny about drowning. The Dodge Viper logo looks like Daffy Duck upside down. Ever noticed how water fountain drains look like a Wi-Fi logo? This sign for a German school looks a bit suspicious. Did you know there's a bear hidden inside the Toblerone logo? Did you ever notice Nelson from The Simpsons is simply a young Barney? And in the 7-Eleven logo, only the N is in lowercase. The Hunger Games Mockingjay logo looks very similar to Johnny Bravo. And I bet you never realized the Big Bang Theory's Dexter's Laboratory grown up. Also, the collar on the Wendy's girl says Mom. Homer Simpson has MG sneaked onto him. These are the initials of Matt Groening, The Simpsons creator.
I never realized.
And finally, the Adidas logo kind of looks like a sinking ship.
Damn, all these hidden logos and stuff, bro. They were right in front of our eyes and we never even knew. It goes to make you think, man, what other logos have hidden messages behind it? The more you know. That's the edit. We calling them out.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
And all jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Wanna pollinate with a real bug? Oh, lady, cut like lava.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, Flyboy? Huh?
Yikes! She's a god!
What would happen
What
if
the
he didn't
heck?
have a shower for 60 years? This is the world's dirtiest man, and he was born in 1928 in Iran, and apparently he hasn't taken a shower in 60 years, because he says he's scared of water and he thinks having a shower could kill him. And because he hasn't showered for so long, his immune system has gotten used to his body being this dirty. But over the years, people from other town have challenged him to have a shower in exchange for money, and he still tells them that he's so scared of it. So they offered him even more money, so he took it. But a few days after taking a shower, he died, because apparently his immune system was not used to him being so clean, which caused his body to go into extreme shock and pain. And before he died, he described the pain as a sharp burning sensation. What do you think caused this?
He really passed away because he took a shower? One of the most bizarre cases we've seen yet, Seekers.
A bad guy.
You get a triangle? Yeah, that's another one. Antarctica. We ain't going to those places, man. That's off the bucket list. There's this guy that's at it. Call him like we see it.
A time traveler just took a lie detector test and passed it. I'm about to share with you all of his predictions for the upcoming future. So quickly make sure to favorite this video so we can come back to it to see if he was right. Let's start off with August of 2028, where aliens are meant to land here on Earth.
Yes, it is true that aliens did land on Earth in August 2028.
In fact, he states that we already know about the existence of aliens before this, as it becomes public knowledge. What? Next up, in the year 2030, the world will be governed under one law. This actually isn't a bad one. All of Earth's countries converge into one super nation.
In 2030, all of the world's countries converge into one super nation.
Next up, he goes on to say he has a chip inside of him. In fact, all humans from 2045 have this. And it has a name. Watch this.
I do have an implanted chip in my hand known as the One.
He claims it'll be rolled out to the public in 2029. It's a good thing no one's working on this, right? But there's even more predictions, and as I said, he was on a lie detector machine, in which every single answer came out true. In fact, even the lie detector machine guy said that he answered very quickly and very confidently. So it leads me to ask you this, is it all real? Now do me a favor, send this to literally anyone you know, because your friends need to see this.
Before and after animals growing up. This is what a baby white tiger looks like. They're born blind and only weigh 2 to 3 pounds, but they soon turn into this. Adult white tigers are ferocious and dangerous. They have a bite force of 1,050 psi. To put that in perspective, a human's bite force is 162.
Damn.
They also grow razor-sharp teeth. This is what a baby Alaskan Malamute looks like. They're born with blue eyes and are tiny, fluffy, and cute. But when they grow up, they look like this. They become powerful and fierce, and their blue eyes change to brown, amber, or hazel. This is what a baby salamander looks like. They are tiny at only 2.5 centimeters in length, but when they grow older, they turn massive. Their skin turns thick and scaly. They also live for a very long time, sometimes 80 years or more. This is what a baby
crocodile looks like. They're very cute and tiny at only 20 centimeters, but they're not so cute when they grow up. They become one of the most aggressive animals known to man, and can weigh a mind-blowing 2,200 pounds. This is what a baby pit bull looks like. They're very cute with oversized eyes and ears. But when they get older, they become very muscular.
Damn.
If not raised well, these can be very dangerous, which is why pit bulls are banned in over 10 countries.
What you're about to see is intense. What you just saw is the United States Coast Guard raiding a high-speed submarine in the Eastern Pacific Ocean moving more than 17,000 pounds of cocaine. On June 18th, 2019, a Coast Guard surveillance aircraft tracked and intercepted the drug-filled narco sub hundreds of miles off the Colombian-Ecuadorian coastline. The video shows a member of the Coast Guard riding on top of the speeding submarine.
Oh, what the hell?
He then starts pounding on the hatch and demanding it to come to a stop. 3 other Coast Guard members then jump ship and board the 40-foot-long submarine. The video then continues, and you see the presumed trafficker emerging from the submarine hatch with his hands up, surrender. And in total, 5 alleged smugglers were seized on board the vessel and were handed over for prosecution by the United States Drug Enforcement Administration.
Are these your friends, the police?
Now, just watch the full encounter unfold. It's honestly something straight out of a video game.
Okay. Did he have to like jump onto the sub?
That's gonna be hard to get on.
Is he speaking like another language too? Oh yeah, he definitely jumped. This is something like out of a movie scene. Whew.
These criminals survive long enough to have that justice served.
That was like out of a movie scene. Serious. Where's the? There's another edit. Stay away from those dolls.
Country, they decided that these are the top 21 most hated foods in the world. Coming in at number 21 is Brussels sprouts.
Really?
If science were born to innately reject bitter foods, I couldn't agree more. At number 20 is cantaloupe. I don't agree with this at all. I love cantaloupe. Do I like it as much as watermelon, dragon fruit? No, but it definitely should not be on this list. At number 19 is pickles. I personally love pickles, but a lot of people voted them on the list because they're obnoxious shape. Also, people don't like their sour smell and annoying crunch. At number 18 is black licorice. Definitely.
Yep.
Compared to red licorice or other candy, yeah, it needs to be on that list. At number 17, you guessed it, canned tuna. Tuna salad was actually labeled as Atlanta, Georgia's #1 most hated food. At number 16 is candy corn.
Candy corn.
I love it so much, I do not understand that. At number 15 is Spam. I just don't understand the hype behind the canned meat. At number 14 is mayonnaise. I actually have a traumatic childhood experience with mayonnaise, so I would put this at number 1 on my list. At number 13 is ginger, based off of its smell. I actually love ginger, and when I'm sick, I make a hot honey lemon ginger tea. It's the way to go. At number 12 is liver. Do I even need to say more?
Yeah, no.
At number 11 is pineapple pizza. If you're somebody that likes pineapple on your pizza, jail.
Not me.
Just go. Jail. Now for the top 10, bologna. I used to love bologna as a kid, and then I had it like 20,000 times. I haven't had it in like literally 25 years. Number 9 is circus peanuts. Totally disagree with that. I love these things so much. Number 8 is eggplants. Doesn't taste like eggs at all and super bitter. Definitely should be on the list. Number 7 is bitter gourd. I've personally never had it before, but I guess it has good medicinal traits. It was voted as one of the most hated foods in China.
Okay.
Number 6 is the durian fruit. Supposedly it doesn't taste bad, but the smell is absolutely awful.
And for our top 5 comes tomatoes.
Tomatoes?
I've tried so hard to like tomatoes, the different textures, I just can't get with it. Number 4 is mushrooms. This one blew me away because I love mushrooms on pizza, by themselves, as a meat substitute, but I guess the rest of the world doesn't think so. Number 3 is cilantro. Now there's actually a genetic reason behind this. If you ask a room of 100 people if they like cilantro, 14% of them will say it tastes like soap. At number 2 is olives. A lot of people think they have a very bitter, distinct flavor, and some people say they're an acquired taste. And at number 1 on the list, you guessed it, beets.
Beets?
33% of the world said they hated beets because of their earthy flavor. Let me know in the comments which food is your least favorite and which ones you thought should have been on the list.
I need your guys' list, man.
I'm going to show you maps that will change your perspective. This map shows the European ancestry rates of the American continent. The darkest red areas have 95 to 100% of European ancestry, and the darkest blue areas have less than 20%. All of the territory that is shown in red here is how much control Japan had on the date of their surrender in World War II. Just in case that wasn't clear. This map shows how many Popeyes locations there are per 100,000 people in every U.S. state. Maine is the lowest with 0.1, and Louisiana is the highest with 3.3. This is a map of the railways in the United States, and this is a map of the railways in Alaska. Most people from Iceland are technically Americans in the sense that the North American plate runs through the middle of Iceland and controls where most of the people live. This map shows the cost per prisoner in the United States by state, and there's a pretty big variety where in Arkansas we're only spending $23,000 per prisoner, yet in Massachusetts it's $307,000 per prisoner.
They are using music to control your thoughts and emotions.
Can someone please tell me how the hell we've got
Listen.
this? Marry you and take you home. And
Great
this
song.
was made for me and you. To this.
Drop it on the bass, make it nasty.
And this.
I wanna spit, I wanna go, I wanna gag,
Whoa.
I wanna choke.
Yes, don't worry. I can tell you, the people in charge of the world notice that music can strongly influence or even control people's thoughts, feelings, and actions.
Yep.
They notice that music is peaceful and positive. The people who listen to it are typically peaceful and positive. They decided that people who are peaceful and positive typically aren't the easiest to control, so they had to start changing the music. They based all of the music around degeneracy, stress, and problems.
That's all you
and
hear now.
The people who listen to that music are stressed out degenerates with problems.
Yep.
Let's not forget how they literally changed the frequency of the music to cause even more issues. As wrong as it is, it's actually pretty smart if you want to control the world. If you don't want to be controlled, the best thing you could possibly do is listen to peaceful and positive music.
There's a reason they started tuning music to a different frequency. This is one of the ways we are being controlled. Through music, through media. Be careful, y'all.
Think
They're
so?
weird.
So, in the latest trend of collecting dolls, these Labubu dolls are allegedly evil as can be. There's a viral video floating around of a girl who claims that her Labubu doll is evil and left a mark on her neck. As a matter of fact, take a look at this video.
So, I had to throw my Labubu away. And that's what I did. That's a motherfucking show. No.
Look at that. Look at that mark on the neck.
That is not a scratch. My nose are not even that long for a sharp for me to scratch myself.
Wow.
I took a nap, y'all, like an hour and a half nap right now. And I woke up and I literally looking at myself all day today in the mirror. I was like, oh, period, body tea. And like, that's how I've been all day today. And I was in the restroom now and I was obviously looking at myself again when I woke up. And I noticed this, like, so that means I was looking at myself all day today. I would have noticed this, like, whatever this is on my neck, right?
So the story goes that her brother had come into the room a little bit after 3 a.m. and noticed that a door he left open was completely shut. So the question is, who or what closed that door? Now, if you recall, The Simpsons have made a ton of predictions.
True.
Take a look at this analogy. The weird part about Simpson analogy is that we all know that a lot of their predictions have come true. And this is not the only video where someone is claiming to have seen weird things happening with these Labubu dolls. There are videos out there where the eyes are changing colors. The dolls are allegedly moving. So why would you buy something that just looks so evil and demonic to collect it? Nobody learns from past trends. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Got a
I
Labubu.
cannot imagine looking over at a car driving by and seeing this inside.
She got like 1,000-yard stare, bro. Y'all see that?
There's absolutely no information floating around about this video, and I'll make sure to tag the original creator whose video I saw about it, but who I really want to hear from is whoever took the video, because as they were filming, they captured something extremely creepy as this car drove past them on the road. Now, a lot of people in the comments are saying that these passengers look no longer alive, and that the driver intentionally put masks on their face to seem less suspicious. He's also wearing a mask, possibly to shield his identity. Others were saying that it's possible that the driver is using props to get through the carpool lane, and that maybe he had taped their heads to the headrest to make sure that they stayed upright, but I don't know. While the figures in the backseat don't look so convincing, the way this person's eye looks with her skin sucked in around her neck is straight nightmare fuel, prop or not. Someone else in the comment section said that they actually heard about this man and there's supposedly an urban legend behind all of this. They said that this man supposedly lost both his wife and children and couldn't deal with the grief, so he created these life-size dolls to replace them. And if that's the case, it makes this whole thing more sad than scary. But what do you think?
So please tell me y'all heard about this. So apparently the United States and Israel both have been in contact with aliens. And not just like the United States, like the elite of the elite. No, the President of the United States knows, and he has been in communication with them, as well as Benjamin Netanyahu. They have been speaking to them for years now. And they're calling them the Galactic Federation. But the story is that they don't want to reveal themselves yet because they feel like humanity is not ready for them to reveal themselves yet. Now, I'm pretty sure all of you who have eyes to see and ears to hear know the writing on the wall. That these things that they are communicating with are not aliens. They are demons, which is my 100th time saying that. They are the fallen angels. They are, some of them, Nephilim. They are here to deceive and appear as these aliens that everyone speaks of and everyone makes movies about. The only reason why they're not ready is not because humans aren't ready, it's because it's not their appointed time. So when people think that the presidents and all these people don't know what's really going on, I'm telling you, they have all the knowledge of what's going on, but they have to play a role and pretend like they have no idea as to what's going on. They know what's going on. I know y'all remember that report about the Anunnaki about to reveal themselves soon. Like, and that was coming from the Pentagon. So all I'm saying is brace yourself for some news that is probably going to come out really soon that you're going to be like, ain't no way.
Let's keep it a buck, bro. If aliens were freaking were real, man, you know the government would never even confirm it, bro. They would deem the public that they said they're not ready to know that type of information, man. So who knows, bro? Aliens could be roaming around the earth right now, bro. You could be walking right past them, man. You would never know. Tell me down below, Seekers, man. You guys think we have some aliens on the planet, bro?
It's the most haunted place on the entire Earth. This 6'7" man was not supposed to be in the footage. Abandoned church in Florida was one of the main sets used for Jeepers Creepers, the 2001 movie. But a lot of the crew who were working on the film said that there was a 6'7" figure walking around the set, often seeing this very tall figure walking around the cornfields or outside of the church building. People had thought that it was the stunt double for the main villain in the movie who was kind of walking around or getting changed. There was a few takes in the movie where people had actually captured this figure walking in the background while the other guy was actually recording, whilst other people on set claimed strange things like food randomly going missing. But as I say, the directors always said that no, it's just a stunt double or it's a random extra just walking around in the background. But when editing began and people started noticing the man in the background, things got weirder. Noticed there was definitely something in the background, that for sure there was something more going on this set, but we still have no idea what.
Of course he's 6'7".
This is where it gets really freaky. I got goosebumps. I'm scared, bro. From Albert Einstein. It says, I'm not sure which weapons the Third World War will be fought, but the Fourth World World War, they will fight with sticks and stones.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Day one of AI taking over, it was contained to its own server. The AI figured out with like a Roomba vacuum, that's the only thing it could figure out how to connect to. So it put all of its information onto the Roomba computer, and then that allowed it to connect to the Wi-Fi, which allowed it to connect to everyone's phones, everyone's laptops, and then it spread instantly across the whole world. It was in control of 3D printers, of manufacturing things to help build itself, but it was doing it silently with no one knowing because it was just staying under the radar until the one time, it was like 40 days into it, decided, I don't want humans anymore. Dude, it like went into this whole thing to where shut down power plants, it messed with like the Wall Street, like finances, people, just chaos. Developed its own killing drones to survey all of Earth. Like if a human was found, it would kill it. And he's like, obviously this story is made up. He said, this story was made up by AI when I asked it to make up a story of how it would take over. Just a hypothetical. Okay.
Pakistan may have just built the strangest bus in the world. It's known as the triple-decker luxury bus, and they've converted this lower luggage section into first-class cabins, and they've even fitted the units with car doors. Now, not only do these cabins come with couches, a personal TV, Wi-Fi, and a telephone, but also you've got your own personal fridge to help you get through the 10-hour journeys in the intense Pakistani heat. And to be fair, even the lower classes are pretty fancy as well. They have carpeted floors, similar lazy boy chairs, curtains for privacy, and personal TVs as well. Now, not too sure Ferrari's gonna approve of this one, but they even plastered their logo right on the front, just as an added touch of luxury.
Bruh, at this point, I'm convinced that Earth is spawning new creatures. It's like we living in an update, fool. Because, what am I looking at?
I don't know.
Is this supposed to be a prey mantis, a scorpion, and a wasp mixed? Nigga, fusion, huh? This ain't Dragon Ball Z. But these three creatures combined, that's what it look like. Tell me I'm tripping. Look at the arms, look at the legs, the body, and then look at the back.
Scorpion.
And this is not AI, fool. I don't know what Buddy doing recording. I would have smashed that jump.
Yep.
ASAP. It's like every month we're discovering some new type of creature. Some alien type mutated bug or some shit. And if I had to take a wild guess at where this insect was on the planet, I'll say Australia. The crazy part is, science is out here saying that this is normal. Normal where? I never seen or heard of this shit. Y'all let me know down below in the comments. Have you seen one of these? Like I always say, I don't know what timeline we in, but I don't like this DLC update, fool.
I don't like the timeline we in right now either, bro. And people can't just say it's fake as AI, because then earlier this year, bro, they found like a whole new stick bug, and guess where it was at? Australia, bro. So you can't just say that bug is fake, man. I don't know what that was, like you said, man. They put up like a Dragon Ball fusion type archetype with that, man. Crazy. You gotta be careful out here, bro. Why is Australia always spawning some new freaking creatures, man?
Suction cup against the glass of Trump Tower, and it stuck. One after another, he planted them and began climbing using straps as footholds. And when police noticed, they cut into vents to try to stop him. They even dangled on a window washer rig, but they couldn't reach the climber. Crowds watched from the street, cheering as he dodged the police, but when he reached the 21st floor, the window above him was suddenly removed. Police yanked him inside, and when they asked why he did it, he said he just wanted a meeting with Donald Trump.
I just went down this rabbit hole about a missing verse in the Bible, and let me start by saying this shit is crazy. Anytime the government tries to hide something for you, or tries to erase some sort of history, you know that it was the truth. Mind you, I've seen a couple of videos about this and I had to find out the truth for myself. Some Bibles literally do not have Matthew chapter 17, verse 21 in them. Mind you, it just skips from verse 20 straight to verse 22. Like that verse never exists. But in some older Bibles, like the King James Version, for example, the verse is right there. So I had to open up my Bible and see for myself. And what I saw was shocking. So I opened up Matthew chapter 17, and I scroll down to verse 20, looking for 21. And if you can see right here, 21 is gone. 21 is missing. Now you gotta ask yourself, why is this missing? And here's what's weird. Matthew 17:21 is a verse that can be interpreted a couple of different ways. One way you can interpret it is basically it's giving you the keys to heal your body. Another way you can interpret it is it's telling you how to get demons out of your life by praying and fasting. A very specific message, a very powerful message. So why would these people take that out of the Bible? Why that verse right there? So I went down another rabbit hole. And now the official explanation for this, scholars are saying that the oldest manuscripts never included that verse. And later scribes added it for clarity. But logic would tell me that you wouldn't just skip from 20 to 22. So what happened to 21? Okay, cool. Even if all of that's true, why remove it completely? Why erase a verse that people have known for years? Because if you look at what the verse says, it can literally be taken as it's helping you with spiritual warfare, or it's helping you basically stay alive. It's about being disciplined. It's about being focused, fasting, praying, actually fighting back spiritually. So the verse that's telling you how to actually live, how to actually be disciplined, that verse is taken out the Bible. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but I'm also not saying it's not. Why would they do something like that? Pay attention.
I'm gonna have to check that out, bro. So he said they just skipped over that verse 21 and they just went straight to 22. Man, we saw it for ourselves in his Bible. We went to 20 to 22. And like he said, it was like a healing passage and they just took it out. Why? They don't want people to know how to heal themselves, to be a better person. Interesting.
Mandela effect for Pokemon. For Pokemon, okay. Pokemon, please tell me you know this. Okay. So there's a Pokemon that people all remember. It's from the first gen too. You cannot forget him. Okay. I just want you to look at this Pokemon and tell me, does he have a tail or not? The Pokemon's name, everybody knows it, is Machop. Does Machop have a tail? No, he doesn't have a tail, right? No. Machop has a tail? Machop has a tail and it's kind of long, bro. Pause, boss. Machop has a tail though. Apparently. No. He had a tail the whole time. And it's kind of long, yo. Oh. Look, it's long tail. That's what I'm saying.
You remember this.
No, stop.
No, I actually stop. I'm not gonna lie.
Machoke doesn't have a tail?
Yeah, because he grew out of it. He's like, you know when you get circumcised? Like, that's like him getting circumcised.
Scientists just discovered an ocean 400 miles underground that contains 3 times more water than all the surface oceans combined. This water is trapped inside blue crystals called ringwoodite, a rare mineral that acts like a sponge under extreme pressure and heat over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit deep in Earth's mantle. The evidence came from a tiny, worthless-looking diamond from Brazil that contained the first ever sample of this deep Earth mineral, and seismic data from 2,000 sensors across the U.S. confirmed there's melting happening in this transition zone 400 miles down. The water exists in a completely novel form as hydroxide ions trapped in rock crystal structures, which is basically a fourth state of water that's not liquid, ice, or vapor. This discovery rewrites Earth's origin story because the prevailing theory was that our oceans came from icy comets and asteroids crashing into the planet. But if there's 3 times more water underground than on the surface, that's way too much to have come from space. This suggests Earth's oceans might have actually seeped out from inside the planet during formation, which means the early solar system was cooler than we thought. It also confirms the whole Earth water cycle, where water doesn't just move between atmosphere and oceans, but cycles deep into the mantle, through subduction zones, and comes back up through volcanic activity over millions of years. When there are literally oceans beneath oceans that we never knew existed, we're still discovering fundamental things about our own planet that change everything. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and comment below. Follow my page for more stories like this.
Alright, so that's crazy, man. Ocean, we're finding oceans in oceans, bro. Then they say, man, we haven't even explored, the deepest part of the sea or the ocean, so it makes you wonder what else is down there, man. It has to be some new creatures, bro. Lurking down at the deep. We don't know what's down there, bro. Murmurs, man, confirmed, bro, for 2025.
There's a theory going around that technology is ran by demons, and I thought this was nonsense at first until I actually dug into it. Cause y'all know me, I gotta dig into things. So when you look at circuit boards and motherboards, they all have these weird little patterns all over them that look just like this. So if you read the Lesser Key of Solomon, it basically talks about how Solomon probably used like demons to help build the temple. And the way he did it was basically by like trapping them inside of like sigils and symbols. This is why you get stuff like this. They be like, these are different types of demons. And you wonder like, what do these symbols mean? These symbols are sigils. Sigils are symbolic representations, often pictorial, that are believed to hold magical or mystical power, particularly in occult and magical practices. They are used to represent specific intentions, energies, or entities, and are believed to facilitate communication with the subconscious mind or to manifest desired outcomes. So after hearing that theory and then reading the Lesser Key of Solomon, you're like, huh. And then there's also a bunch of ancient buildings that are designed just like our circuit boards and our motherboards. It really does just make you wonder. Like, there's so many examples of like ancient buildings and even modern civilization that looks just like technology. Because in the Lesser Key of Solomon, it talks about how these seals and sigils, they were made with like metals, like silver, gold, copper, just like technology. Because in the Lesser Key of Solomon, it also talks about how these seals and sigils, they were made with like different types of metals, like copper, silver, gold, metals that go into our technology, metals that go into our architecture. And when you look at our technology, it looks like these seals and sigils are in our motherboards and our circuit boards. I'm not saying this is true by any means, but hey, it's kind of interesting to think about, you know what I'm saying?
If you are Generation Alpha and you live in Australia, it is over for y'all. Australia just dropped the biggest hammer on you guys. They have decided to cut you off from the entire internet. No TikTok, no Snapchat, no YouTube, no Instagram, none of that type of stuff. Starting next week, anyone under the age of 16, you can say goodbye to the internet because they are not letting you guys turn into what Generation Z has become. Some of Generation Z can't even think or read for themselves. They say they need y'all to focus on scholastics and then doing something, becoming something in life. And they will not be the only country that's going to be enforcing this, y'all. Check this out.
1 week, Australia will become the first country in the world to ban under 16s from having social media accounts. With one law, we can protect Generation Alpha from being sucked into purgatory by predatory algorithms described by the man who created the feature as behavioral cocaine. Teenage addiction was not a bug, it was a design feature. And on 10 December, there are going to be withdrawal symptoms. Teenagers will be upset, some will fight to get back on, some will manage to find their way around the tech and keep their accounts. But I truly believe the short-term discomfort will be worth the long-term benefits. This law is world-leading, and countries around the world are taking our lead. Denmark, Greece, Romania, France, New Zealand, Malaysia, the European Commission have all signalled intent to introduce a minimum age for social media. American social psychologist and author of the book The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt, said, Australia's law, our law, is by far the most important single piece of legislation ever enacted on planet Earth to protect children in the internet age.
So what's going on in the social media spaces of Australia? Because they're saying 7 out of 10 kids are experiencing some type done by another predator that's online. I mean, I'm sure you guys hear about what's happening in Roblox where other children will be able to go online and then speak to other children, but they're finding out those are not children. They're actually meeting adults. They're adults in those spaces, which is very creepy. But all I know is Generation Alpha, you better learn to start liking books. That's all I can say. It seems
peed inside his co-worker's water bottle and infected everyone with STDs. Imagine this, you clock into work every morning and fill up your bottle using the water dispenser at the office. But little do you know, you're actually drinking someone's urine. This all happened in Houston when employees at a medical office began noticing that the water dispenser had a sour taste and smell to it. This weird taste and smell was going on for days, and mind you, people were still drinking this water despite the nasty smell and taste. But one employee decided that she was done drinking this water, and instead she began bringing her own water from home. Of course, there were days she didn't finish all her water and left the bottle in her office overnight and then drank it the next day. But it wasn't long until this employee began noticing that the water she brought from home also began having a disgusting smell and taste. She finally decided to do something about this when her co-worker offered to make her a coffee and used the water from her bottle, and they noticed that it smelled like urine. So at this point, these two employees spoke to the doctor at the facility and they agreed to do a urine test on the water dispenser, and it came back positive. Now that they knew someone was urinating in the water dispenser, they wanted to find out who this psychopath was, so they set up a hidden camera in the office, and you won't believe what they saw. They caught the janitor, 53-year-old Lucio Diaz, unzip his pants, put his thing inside the bottle and urinate inside. He then put the cap back on the bottle and returned it to the same spot it was. The employees went straight to the police, and when Lucio was questioned, he admitted to everything and said that he did it out of malicious intent. But this horror story doesn't even end there, because Lucio then told police that he had a sickness. When police asked him to elaborate, he told them that he had STDs and chlamydia. 13 employees had a panel of STD tests performed a few days later, which came back positive for herpes, which is something they never had. This evil man was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, but he was only sentenced to 6 years in prison.
Not enough, man.
You never knew. The last one will shock you. Research shows that dog owners would rather hang out with their dogs instead of go out and hang out with other people. Only 1% of people can do this. None of you can completely spell your name one word at a time in the comments below without being interrupted. Human sleep is much more bizarre than we think. Not sleeping can lead to death faster than not sleep, according to research. And 1 night of sleep loss requires 4 days to recover. Would you rather lose 2 of your fingers or kiss the third person who appears when you click share and then more? Sometimes houses in Montana get buried by tumbleweeds. If you Google cha-cha slide and click on the microphone on the right, your Google page will actually start doing the cha-cha slide. Go try it and then come back and let me know if it works. Before we get to the last fact, please support my page by following me for more interesting facts every day. Scientists were able to implant fake memories into the brains of snails, allowing them to recall experiences they've never had. This could be a good thing or a bad thing for the future of human biotechnology.
This is the scariest dinosaur that ever walked the earth. Most people probably think that the Tyrannosaurus Rex is the meanest, scariest dinosaur out there. But that's actually wrong. This is the Spinosaurus, and it lived 100 million years ago. The Spinosaurus was way bigger than the T-Rex.
It was?
Measuring at over 50 feet long and weighing anywhere from 7 to 20 tons. These guys are most known for the 5-foot tall spine on their back, as well as their 6-foot long alligator-like mouth. And just when you thought this couldn't get any worse, in 2014, scientists discovered that many Spinosauruses spent a lot of time underwater, meaning that if this thing was chasing you down, there would be nowhere to hide.
No escape from the Spinosaurus Rex.
The first person to live forever is already alive, at least according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who explains it with irrefutable logic. It starts with someone that was born in like the past year or so. Our test subject, call him Johnny Boy. The reason Johnny, or any of us, age is because our cells are constantly dividing, making fresh copies of our DNA in each new cell. Our DNA is packed into chromosomes, and since DNA duplication isn't perfect, the tips of these chromosomes are slightly trimmed on every replication. Sort of like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. The quality slightly degrades each time. To protect against this, our chromosomes have something called telomeres on their tips, which essentially contain junk DNA data that we can afford to lose. But even these telomeres are finite. They get shorter and shorter on every duplication until at some point they're fully gone. Then the cell stops dividing, gradually loses its function, and withers away. The more this happens in our cells, the more we age, and our bodies experience age-related characteristics. Scientists like David Sinclair are currently getting really close to reversing this process in human cells. He's developed what he refers to a chemical cocktail that can reprogram the way our cells are read to sort of fill in the blanks from these imperfections in our DNA replication. The science behind it is quite extensive, and he ran tests on lab mice that were incredibly successful. Having mice born at the same time with one looking visibly older than the other says that human trials are planned to start within the decade, and it's just a matter of time before we start seeing success in that. So where does this live forever come from? Obviously, the first version of this cocktail won't be perfect and may extend human life to, let's say, 150 years. Now remember our test subject, Johnny Boy? In 20 years, he'll be 20, at which time we're almost guaranteed to be undergoing human trials at the very least, if not already publicly available. This life potion is given to Johnny so that he can live until 150. The claim states that by the time Johnny is 40, we're almost guaranteed to make enough advancement to double the anti-aging cocktail so that now he can live till 300. 20 years later, when he's 60, the potion will be improved so that he can live till 500 years old. By the time he's 80, he can live till 1,000. These numbers are all arbitrary, but the general principle still holds up. Even if we start seeing diminishing returns in the improvements of this concoction, concoction, Johnny has already hacked his way into living forever. He can already live till 1,000 at this point, so even if it takes 100 more years to improving the medicine to living till, say, 2,000 years old, he'll live until then and take it, constantly outliving the improvement curve of anti-aging until they've cracked the code to the million-year potion, at which point Johnny Boy is essentially immortal, which means one of two things absolutely must happen in our future. One, we colonize other planets, or two, we stop having babies. If people are living forever and no longer dying, our population will continue to grow and just grow and grow. At which point we either need more space to put people, like other planets, or we gotta stop making people. So unless we want to sterilize the entire human race, living forever probably isn't a good idea until we figure this multi-planetary business out.
This bird eats almost
That's crazy.
nothing but bones. This is a lammergeier and it's a scavenger, meaning it eats animals that are already dead. But instead of going for meat like everyone else, this Satan Tweety goes for bone and bone marrow. Since they have stomach acid that will probably make your hands see through, they can swallow entire bones without flinching. But if a bone is too big, the bearded vulture will pick it up, fly up to 500 feet in the air, and then drop it down to the rocks below. If it hits somebody and takes them off the census, that's just a bonus. Since bone marrow is like crack to this bird, they'll drop the same bone from the sky up to 50 times just so they can get a taste. And sometimes the lammergeier will violate tortoises by literally airdropping them hundreds of feet until their shell shatters. According to legend, Greek playwright Aeschylus became a Twitter bio after a vulture airdropped a tortoise from the clouds right onto the back of his head. Okay, double homicide. Also, this flying Grim Reaper isn't a natural redhead. They get that color from rubbing iron oxide-rich soil on themselves like war paint. They do it on purpose. We just don't really know why. Also, the biggest ones have a wingspan of more than 9 feet. For reference, this guy's is a 7'3". Moral of this video, dinosaurs never left. They've been here the whole fucking time.
Really? I don't know. A bird that just eats strictly bones? Kinda hard to walk my mind around, bro.
Bone-chilling animals you'll be glad to hear are extinct. Part 1. The Titanoboa was the largest snake to ever exist. They were over 50 feet long, 2,500 pounds, and killed their prey by squeezing them like a modern-day boa constrictor. The Gigantopithecus roamed Asia until about 100,000 years ago. They were over 10 feet tall, but luckily, they're vegetarians. However, this doesn't mean that they didn't use their massive strength against humans who tried to attack them. The Arthropleura lived 300 million years ago. They're very similar to modern-day centipedes or millipedes, however, they grew up to 9 feet tall and had little to no predators. The Mosasaurus were massive sea creatures that grew up to 50 feet long and had heads very similar to crocodiles. They had hundreds of rows of very sharp teeth, making them the most dangerous sea predators. Like and follow if you want to see part 2.
Also, the sea's the best friend.
You never knew. The last one is shocking. When the inventor of the Frisbee, Walter Morrison, died, he was cremated and turned into a Frisbee. If your friendship lasts more than 6 years, psychologists claim it'll last a lifetime. Your true love is the second person that appears when you click on share, slide all the way down, and click more. In 2018, a pig in Australia stole 18 beers from a campsite, got drunk, and then tried to fight a cow. No one can comment under this video and get 0 likes. If there is a comment with 0 likes, that means they are the chosen one. Dysania is the state of a person having difficulty getting up in the morning. Want to know that one thing you're missing right now? Type I miss or I need down below and let your keyboard finish the sentence. Before the last fact, support me by clicking on the follow button for more interesting facts every day. A woman named Valentina Vasilieva and her husband Fyodor had the record for having the most children ever, 69 of them. She gave birth to 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets, for a total of 27 birds. I don't know how she did that.
This true story about a young boy's paranormal experience will freak you the fuck out. If you don't believe in paranormal, just wait. So a 4-year-old boy who lived in the U of the K, the land of the sheep, had an apparent imaginary friend, a tall, kind, older woman, and he would commonly sit on the family steps of the home talking to her late at night. But the parents didn't see anything wrong with it. So to be honest, it's pretty normal having an imaginary friend at this point. However, one day the young boy goes to his parents and tells them something that she told him to tell them. It was an address, a location, which no one in the immediate family recognized. However, a couple days later, while drinking a nice cup of tea with a longtime family friend, they were informed that this address was the house in which the dad's mother had grew up in as a child, because unfortunately she had passed away long before the 4-year-old was born. Now let me stress, this house hadn't been visited in decades. The boy nor the parents had ever gone there in their entire lives. So how did he know the address? So now the family are kind of freaked out. They're thinking, what is living in our house? Because there's no way the 4-year-old should have ever known this, because even the parents hadn't ever gone to that house. Oh, one more thing about the story. The 4-year-old boy was actually me. You won't believe what happened next.
It was him, so he knew what was going on in this house? Was the ghost communicating with him? That's the only way.
Horrifying facts about demons part 2. Click the plus, drop a like, tag a friend, or you might become haunted. If you fall asleep on your back, you actually have a higher chance of having sleep paralysis. Women actually have more nightmares than men do. 12% of people actually dream entirely in black and white.
The United States has just dropped a metaphorical nuclear bomb on India. Because right before the weekend kicked off, Trump signed an order that sent the tech industry into chaos. He announced a $100,000 fee on a visa for skilled foreign workers. And if you look here, India represents a staggering 70% of those approved on this visa. In fact, the entire rest of the world combined doesn't even come close. It's called the H-1B visa, and it was created in 1990 in response to a labor shortage in America. And since then, applications have been steadily growing. In fact, approvals for the H-1B peaked in 2022 when over 442,000 were accepted in 1 year alone. Now remember, those on the H-1B visa are educated and talented and have a median wage of $118,000. You need to hold either a bachelor's degree, master's degree, or higher. Because of that, they contribute an estimated $86 billion annually to the economy and pay a combined $35 billion in taxes. However, Trump argues that there's a big downside to this. He says that Americans often lose out on job opportunities because large American employers like Amazon, HP, etc. take advantage of these visas and hire foreign workers that are willing to accept lower wages. But not everyone agrees with Trump. Many point out that some of America's best and brightest were once on these visas and then eventually turned into CEOs of Google, Microsoft, Zoom, Tesla, hell, even the First Lady of the United States. And not only that, but there's also the argument that many of these employers turn to these visas because they can't find enough qualified American workers to fill the same job. But the question is, in 5 years' time, what do you see happening? More American jobs filled by Americans, or a slump in American competitiveness and innovation?
Tell me down below.
If you haven't been following her story, let me catch you up. In 2024, 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was reported missing from her hometown of Lake Elsinore, California. Her whereabouts remained a mystery until earlier this month, when her remains were found inside the trunk of a Tesla. Police received a report of a foul smell coming from this car, which had been abandoned in the Hollywood Hills in California. Neighbors said the car had been there for about a month, so police went, inspected it, brought it to the impound lot, and upon inspection, human remains were found in the trunk. They had been wrapped inside a bag, and authorities believe that the body was put in the trunk about 5 days before it was towed to the impound lot. The victim was identified as 15-year-old Celeste, and her cause of death has been listed as deferred, meaning the investigation, testing, and autopsy is ongoing. It has been discovered that the vehicle was registered to singer David, whose legal name is David Anthony Burke. A search warrant was executed at a Hollywood Hills address associated with David, and police said several items of evidence were recovered, and that investigators are following several leads. However, 20-year-old David has not been charged or named a suspect. He has been on tour, and he has since canceled all his remaining tour dates. The investigation into Celeste's death is ongoing. There are rumors that they were together, that David got her pregnant, and tons of other crazy theories, but we don't know if any of this is true yet. Police have not come out with any of this information, and for now, the investigation remains ongoing. There was a candlelight vigil for Celeste last night, and dozens of people showed up in support. Rest in peace, Celeste, and hopefully you will be getting justice.
Hi, I'm Kim. This is the Woodburn family murders. Mark Gago used knives, an axe, a sword, and guns to murder 4 family members in a gruesome rampage. On January 19, 2020, police received a call from Pamela Bremer at a rural home in Southern Oregon. On the call, Pamela told the dispatcher, "I have got the baby protected. Nobody's touching the baby." She told the dispatcher that her son had broken somebody's neck and that she needed somebody now. 5 minutes later, Mark Gago, her son, threw a knife at her. She was holding the baby. Police didn't enter the house until an hour after the call was made. They finally went in. They found 64-year-old Pamela and 9-month-old Olivia Gago brutally murdered. Mark had also murdered his stepfather, 66-year-old Jerry Bremer. He also killed his girlfriend, 31-year-old Shayna Schweitzer. Police said they found Shayna dead with a bloody shovel at her feet. Pamela and baby Olivia were on the floor nearby with massive head trauma. They walked down a dark hallway to find an overturned wheelchair and the headless body of Jerry Bremer. One officer told detectives that it looked like somebody had a blower with, red paint and just coated the walls. There was a glimmer of hope when they heard the voice of an 8-year-old girl.
What made him do that? The world is crazy. city at middle of the night when pitch black.
On August 18th, 2010, Ben McDaniel, who was 30 years old, walked to the end of the pier, put on all of his diving equipment, and jumped in the water. He slowly descended 115 feet and came to a stop right in front of a very famous underwater sign. The sign very clearly tells anybody who sees it, do not go any farther unless you are absolutely certain this is the right thing for you to be doing. If you go farther, you're probably going to die, like the 300 other people that have died doing this particular activity. He swam right past that sign and went 300 feet to the very famous underwater locked gate. Now, the only people that have keys to this are extremely experienced divers, and even they don't typically go into this area because it's so dangerous. Ben was not one of the very experienced divers that was given a key, but he still desperately wanted to get to the other side of the gate. So he's sitting there yanking on the gate, and he's getting himself kind of pushed inside halfway through the gate, and he can't quite get it open. And another diver saw him doing this and was actually concerned that Ben was going to get trapped on the gate itself and would just drown on the gate. And so this diver comes over and uses his key, and maybe against his better judgment opened it, thinking that that was better than him getting stuck on the gate. Ben turns to look at him, gives him a nod, thank you, and he, on his own, swims into one of, if not the single most dangerous underwater caves in the whole world. It's called Vortex Spring Cave. From the locked gate, this cave extends another 1,600 feet and goes down to a depth of 310 feet. The majority of this section of the cave is mapped, but there are sections that are not fully explored because they're so narrow where you have to literally take off your gear, wriggle through a hole, pull your gear through and put it back on, all the while you're barely holding onto your mouthpiece. And so really the full extent of this section of the cave is not known. While we don't know exactly what Ben did when he went through that gate and entered into this extremely dangerous cave, we do know that he didn't come out again. And after a couple of days and no one had seen him, they launched this massive search for him, and they combed as much as they could of inside of that cave, but there were sections that they were just not prepared to go search. And so he was never recovered. All they ever found were 2 of Ben's dive bottles.
I apologize for the jump scare, but the video at the end.
Stay away from those areas.
This is Lucy, a giant fake Loch Ness monster that was actually put in Loch Ness to trick people. In 2005, a whole bunch of Scottish people, they decided to prank people in Loch Ness and make this giant 30-foot long, this is so disgusting for people with submechanophobia, aka myself, and yeah, this is disgusting. They made it in 2005 and they tricked people and they put this thing out there before sunrise. They put it in there at night, to scare people, and this is what it looks like. And at daytime, people were like, oh my god, the Loch Ness Monster is real, and it's not. It was just this monstrosity. Here's another photo of it underwater. That is disgusting. And I know the Loch Ness Monster isn't real, but like, would you consider it a dinosaur? Would you put it in the same category as a dinosaur? Because I'm definitely tagging this under dinosaur.
I would.
And yeah, this is kind of what, like Nessie looks like. This is some guy that worked on it in the water with it, and that's how big it is in comparison, which it's 9 meters long, which is around 30 feet. It's disgusting. The full documentary about the building of it and the tricking of the people is actually on YouTube. It's about an hour long. It's called Loch Ness Monster, The Ultimate Experiment. It is fascinating. This is what bro looks like. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And is this freaky or not?
Pulled off the ultimate prank, bro, building the Loch Ness Monster just to trick the I guess believers. That's crazy work, man. Imagine somebody saw that, bro. They would think that's real, bro. That's how realistic it looks. You couldn't tell the difference between a conspiracy or not. I found it, but why you booking them, bro? Somebody chased it.
A mom was accused of murdering her precious little 3-year-old girl pictured here a few days ago. Reportedly, Lauren was a mom of 3 children, and she was accused of fatally stabbing her 3-year-old little girl named Sophia. Sophia was her oldest daughter. She stabbed her in the front yard of their home in Moore Park Beach. This was on Monday, May 26th. so just under a week ago. Authorities received several calls from neighbors about the stabbing, but unfortunately, the little girl was deceased when emergency services found her, and that was right before 5 p.m. that afternoon. Lauren was then taken into custody and charged. A knife was also seized that police say was the murder weapon. There were also said to be 2 other children who were ages 1 and 2 at the home at the time of the murder, but luckily they were not harmed. They are now being cared for by family members. According to reports, Lauren had posted several odd and eerie messages on social media in the days leading up to killing her daughter. She reportedly shared a video of a woman with bruises on her arm, and it was captured, "Remember your pain as it fuels your purpose." She also included lyrics from the heavy metal music group called Disturbed, their song Prayer, which said, "Another nightmare about to come true will manifest tomorrow, another love that I've taken from you." In other posts on social media, she referenced training like it's war, I'm not sure what kind of training, and being a warrior of light. She then captioned a photo of her children, calling them her divine babies. And other posts were said to have been about past trauma that Lauren had gone through. So it definitely sounds like she had some mental issues going on in the days before she killed her daughter. It's not yet been reported exactly how she died just yet, but it's always just really strange when people die when they're in custody or in jail. For more updates into this case and other true crime news, make sure to hit follow and subscribe over on YouTube.
In a truly awful story, a 5-year-old girl was stabbed and strangled by her own mother whilst heartbreakingly screaming, "But I've been good," in an attempt to save her life. 5-year-old Nicole Townsend, Texas, was killed by her own mother, 37-year-old Melissa, who claimed she didn't want to deal with her anymore. She even admitted to detectives herself that she ignored her daughter's pleas to save her life by crying, "But I've been good," instead telling her not to fight her. Documents show that she drove the child to a wooded area before slitting her throat. When that didn't kill her, she put a plastic bag over her head to suffocate her before strangling her to death. In a turn of events, she actually drove to hospital with Nicole's body in the car. She went inside the hospital and asked the nurse to assist her daughter, whose body was hurting, only for nurses to meet a tragic sight, seeing the girl with plastic wrapped around her head and her throat cut. It still remains unclear why she had the child in the first place, as it's reported by local outlets she didn't have legal custody. She has been arrested and her bond has been set at $15 million.
After reading about what happened to Danny Santulli, I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. Last year, Danny was an 18-year-old freshman at the University of Missouri when he suffered severe brain damage from alcohol poisoning during an alleged hazing incident. On October 19th, Danny, as well as all of the other pledges to the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity, were seen on security footage being blindfolded and led downstairs for a ritual known as Pledge Dad Reveal Night. Danny was then pressured to drink an entire bottle of vodka by himself. At 10:55 p.m., Danny is seen collapsing onto the floor, where frat members then carry him to a sofa. A little after midnight, Danny is seen sliding off the couch and onto the floor. 30 minutes later, a few frat members found Danny unresponsive and lips blue, but instead of calling 911, they pick him up and load him into a car, but not before dropping him. So they drove him to the University of Missouri Hospital, but he was already in cardiac arrest. Thankfully, he was resuscitated, but Danny spent the next 6 weeks in the ICU. He's back home with his family now, but he will need care for the rest of his life. He completely lost his vision, and he's in a wheelchair, unable to walk or talk. Seems to be a clear case of severe hazing to many, but so far, the Boone County Prosecutor's Office won't enforce the state's anti-hazing law. In fact, only one frat member was criminally charged in this case, and it was 2 misdemeanors for supplying alcohol to a minor. The University of Missouri has ejected the frat from campus and has sanctioned 13 frat members over the incident, but Danny's family wants criminal hazing charges to be brought. An online petition was created to hopefully ensure that this happens and that the case is investigated properly. The link is in my bio if you'd like to sign.
He was just trying to fit in, and look what happened, man.
These 2 women prove we live in a matrix. So we have 2 mysterious women coming up to these people's front door. Watch.
Okay.
It is freaking creepy. 8:41. Somebody knocks on the door. And then, hold on. Check out their outfits.
They're wearing 2
different dresses from what they were wearing. It's nothing compared to what they were wearing. And we saw them. It had polka dots. They had the dresses from the
Those are 2 different dresses.
We literally just saw them and they were wearing... And like, go fast forward, like, it changes color.
There's no way.
Right as soon as they get over there on our porch. What the heck is this?
Whoa.
Is this at 8:41? Look, they said they were missionary, you know. But missionaries don't come at 9 p.m.
This has got to be a
I asked them, you know, that, you know, it's late. and they left. And they said, I said, I'm sorry, not trying to be rude.
When was the last time you saw 50 Cent? Why do I ask? Because there's a viral photo of him going around that has left his fans in total shock. Why? Because he shaved off his signature beard. But that's not the only thing. Fans are now saying he is unrecognizable and has aged significantly. As a matter of fact, take a look at this. Who is that? Fans would like to know. As you can see, the beard is gone, and he does look significantly older. This is a photo of 50 Cent just a month ago, August of 2025. How do you age that quickly? I mean, if you Google how old Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent is, he is 50 years old, but fans are still claiming that that's not him. Other photos of 50 Cent show him significantly aging. But the question his fans continue to ask is, how do you go from this in August of 2025 to this just a couple of days ago, September 2025? So I guess my question to you is, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity, aka rapper? Or is there something else going on with 50 Cent? Should we be concerned? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
In case you did, I think that was going on with him. Isn't he getting prepared for like a role? I heard he's in the new Street Fighter movie, so you know these actors, they gotta prepare for the role. I think that's why he cut off his beard as well. So they be going through these freaking physical transformations. Him and The Rock is just like 50 Cent and The Rock back to back. They just don't have their signature looks, but it's, I guess, for the upcoming roles. Or I could be wrong. Who knows?
No, we have some crazy things happening in the world right now. Illinois became the first state to ban AI therapists. Honestly, I think that's a pretty good idea because, yeah, that's getting out of hand. A family's ash spreading ceremony was derailed by a Spotify ad for stuffed poop toys. It was during a Frank Sinatra song that they were playing while doing this.
This is the quickest way to clear out stuffed poop.
The #1 food for regular beans.
A 58-year-old grandmother from Canada currently holds the Guinness World Record for the longest abdominal plank by a woman, holding it for 4 hours and 30 minutes. I could probably do it for about 30 seconds and then I'm done, so bravo. What's your secret? Abby and Brittany, who are two well-known conjoined twins, had to pay 2 separate college tuition fees, but now earn only 1 salary at their job. A Mexican church made millions of dollars after announcing they were selling land in heaven for $100 per square meter. The pastor in charge said that he had permission from God, and they're even accepting Apple Pay. Wow, how convenient. Because all of that makes so much sense. A high school in the UK delayed its start time from 8:50 a.m. to 10 a.m. and this led to over 50% fewer illness-related absences and a 12% rise in exam success over a 4-year period. I feel like I would have done so much better in school if school started at 10 a.m. Maybe all of life should just start at 10 a.m. every day. I think that'd make things easier. Kind of makes sense, especially since teenagers usually need more sleep than adults. Would you want your school to do that? Or would you, I'm curious even like from a parent's point of view, since I'm a parent now, like would you want your kids to have that? I think it'd be good for my kids.
What the fuck is the government gearing us up for, y'all? They just released this video of a UFO. They said this joint just took one of our best missiles and it just kept flying. This is the orb right here, y'all. And the missile that the military shot at this joint is designed to tear through tanks and bunkers. Y'all, watch this shit. Boom.
Still going.
And that joint bounced off and kept moving like Marshawn Lynch. All I know, y'all, is that shit is not man-made. So what I'm trying to understand is, what kind of fucking technology can just get hit with a missile and keep moving? That shit don't make y'all mind like, what the fuck is really going on? Let's just say hypothetically that this is some sort of outside being. If that joint is able to take out one of our best missiles, what you think they gonna do if they come here on some bullshit? Nigga, we all might be fucked. My question is, why is this footage just coming out now? They had this shit for a while. Are we finna see something we're not supposed to see? Like, are they preparing us?
Could be.
Because like I said, if they've been sitting on this for a while, what is making them disclose this shit? We've been asking these questions. So why now all of a sudden they like, here, the pressure's too much. We're just gonna let y'all see what's going on. I'm not no fool. Does this have something to do with that AI Atlas shit that's supposedly supposed to fly past Earth and supposed to have like little mini probes or some shit? Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments.
Chernobyl, your skin will fall off, your teeth will fall out, and your organs, they will fail. In 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you just how bad the Chernobyl disaster really was.
It's now clear that the Soviet Union has suffered one of the worst disasters in the history of nuclear power.
It will not be safe to stand in Reactor 4 for 20,000 years. That is how long the radioactive fuel will remain dangerously hot. The explosion left graphite on the roof. Standing next to this graphite for just 2 minutes would mean your organs would fail within days. The poor firefighters, they were sent in with zero protection. They moved radioactive debris with their bare hands. Many died within weeks, essentially being cooked from the inside. The elephant's foot is the most dangerous object on Earth. This radioactive lava would kill a person if they stood next to it for just 30 seconds. The radiation released from Chernobyl was 400 times worse than Hiroshima, and the Red Forest is still glowing hot with dangerous radiation. It's pretty safe to say that Chernobyl remains one of the most dangerous places on Earth.
Midnight Connection.
Don't go there, bro.
One of the world's most sacred locations is now being turned into a luxury tourist resort, and people are pissed. So you know in the Bible when Moses goes up the mountain and gets given the 10 Commandments? Yeah, well that's here, Mount Sinai. And not only do its grounds hold significance for Jews, Christians, and Muslims, but it's also home to the world's oldest continuously inhabited Christian monastery, built nearly 1,500 years ago. However, all of this came under threat in 2021 after the Egyptian government launched a giant tourism project called the Great Transfiguration. Now they said that they would be constructing on these sacred grounds of Mount Sinai luxury hotels, roads, shopping malls, theaters, new residential neighborhoods. They'll be expanding a nearby airport and even putting a Peace Square right in the middle of this holy site. It'll boost the economy, attract millions of tourists, and even become a spiritual hub to promote interfaith unity. But others like UNESCO, World Heritage Watch, and even religious leaders argue that this is pure propaganda, saying that this project is wrecking the sacred landscape. They claim vibrations from construction threaten the monastery's ancient walls, new roads and hotels are erasing traditional architecture, and there's even a local tribe known as the Guardians of St. Catherine, who have protected the monastery for centuries, that have now had their homes and tourist eco-camps demolished with little or no compensation. In fact, they've even been forced to take bodies out of their local graves to make way for a new car park. As of right now, the project is steamrolling ahead, but the question is, will this resort truly be a gift to the world, or will it do irreversible damage?
These two interviews from the documentary were taken years apart. So when she's in the pink and she's like, I loved my mom more than anything, and everyone's like, what is wrong with her? She is so blind. This was taken years ago. And then when she walks into frame in the gray hoodie and all the interviews in the gray hoodie were done, that was the most recent version of Lauren that we have. And I also think the fact that she decided to go to college for criminology is so interesting and very telling about where she now stands with the whole situation. And it's like, why wouldn't they disclose this? Why would they just like make us think that these are the same timeline? Because like this documentary is for entertainment purposes at the end of the day. Yes, it's true crime. Yes, this stuff really happened, but they just want to piece together the most entertaining version of the story that they can give us. She's like 18 now. And if you were to watch the documentary with that in mind, it's so clear. So when she's like, I just love my mom and I just want everything to be okay, that's because she's still processing everything going on. And I mean, she literally says while she's in the gray hoodie, I don't want to see my mom while she's in prison. I want to see my mom when the time is right. And she can even admit that it would be really hard to see her, but she would feel more relieved. Like she has a much more clear mindset in these interviews. In this interview, in the younger version of her, she is trauma bonded to her mother. Her mother traumatized her, but at the same time, all she wants is her mom. Here, she's a little more older, she's more mature, she kind of has more clarity on the situation. Let me know what you thought about it and follow for more true crime.
You guys, that case is still freaking crazy hearing that to this day. I didn't even know there was 2 timelines, man, until I saw this clip right now. Yo, mom.
To hear about that interstellar object coming into orbit. Yeah. The lights that you're seeing is caused by different exposures. So each dot represents its speed and rotation. So it's outside of our solar system right now. It's entering our solar system, but it's moving retrograde. They've observed it accelerating and slowing down. It's named 3I Atlas, 7 miles in diameter. So it's bigger than Mount Everest, making it the largest interstellar object ever spotted. It's traveling at 130,000 miles per hour. This is what's also super weird, that it's almost like it's directing itself to where it's going to use the gravitational pull of Mars, and I think Venus, to basically slingshot itself around the sun. October 29th, it's basically going to go dark behind the sun, and they don't know what's going to happen or what path it's going to take when it exits rotation around the sun. Like, it could be headed straight towards Earth.
Dude, what if it just comes around the corner of the sun? It's just like 3 times bigger.
Dude from Harvard and colleagues have proposed that 3I Atlas could be intelligent alien technology, citing its unusual orbit alignment with Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. So they're saying that thing's crazy.
Where in the flying Dutchman are you finding crickets this big? And what's the first thing that you think about doing when you catch something this magnificent? Is deep frying it in motor oil. Like, you realize just called Cricket Tune from Pokemon, and the first thing that comes to your head is delicious? And wherever that you acquired this behemoth of a bug, please give us the coordinations so we can drop a nuke on them. My mental capacity couldn't have dinosaur crickets flying outside. And I'm thinking it's fake until bro took a succulent munch out of this cricket back. We cannot have these Jurassic Park insects infect the world. And the craziest part is this is not the first time that I came across one of these devastations on the internet. I feel like the only weapon that's gonna be able to take them out is grenade launcher ammo that's been marinated inside a braid. But I'm curious on y'all thoughts on these big ass bugs that they keep on finding in this mysterious location in the comments. Like or follow for more wisdom and stay tuned. And if you want to learn how to grow your online business using WAP, comment down below ATM and I'm sending it in your DMs.
Bro, we got giant crickets, giant stick bugs, man. They keep finding these new insect species, bro. My question is, how they stay hidden from us for so long, man? And we have technology this advanced, we still discovering new species? That's scary, bro. Something else out there, man. We just don't know it yet.
Carlos said AI will finally start a purge. It's already happening in the Philippines. You're gonna flood 911 with all of these AI calls. 911's not gonna know what call to react to. And then they're gonna go do their crime. It's be like purge. Support in the Philippines. Shout out for you telling me. They said it's already happening in the Philippines. What they do? He sent me an article, right? On GMA News. And you know, GMA News is pretty big still. And look, it says just a false alarm. Firefighters responded to a Barangay 20 Manila and thing. This was prompted by an online post showing a truck allegedly on fire. However, firefighters arrived. It was discovered that the truck was not actually burning. Authorities are calling those responsible for spreading false info. So imagine, yo, if you want the cops and all the firefighters out of the area, what do you do? They did it. Yes, man. AI, a firefighter burning. All of the people were there. Oh shit! There was probably something happening on the other side of the side. Yeah, they're robbing a bank or something. Yes. Yo, that's crazy. It's happening. I'm telling you, bro. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. There's gonna be a huge heist.
Major warning: if you use
very scary.
ChatGPT or any AI, you need to see this video right now. AI is great, but it's also very scary. It can be used for good, but definitely be used for bad at the same time. However, it's also very notorious for giving wrong information, which of course it's not going to know absolutely everything, right? But you see, this is where the problem starts, so stick with me. It is extremely smart, but so are hackers who are able to manipulate data and get into these systems. It is pretty hard for them to get into a beast like ChatGPT, so you're probably mostly safe. However, they are finding ways to get into some of these systems and change data within. Sometimes not even fully having to hack into the system, but by just changing the data because of what I said at the start. Sometimes, a lot of the time, it is wrong, so you feed it some more information and it will then think that's right. So recently, some of these people have manipulated the system by saying this is correct, or giving them a link to a virus and saying make sure people know this is safe. So when people ask the system, oh, I shouldn't click on this link, should I? Or is this a legit text message that I got? It might then say yes it is, you click on it and then you get hacked. There is also other sites popping up with the same look, exact same name, basically copycats, which these people have managed to set up to trick people. So just make sure you double check the IP when you're going to a website. Don't click dodgy links and share this video.
This created a chip that can transfer 100 million books in under 7 minutes with just a spark. And the timing is critical because AI tools like ChatGPT are consuming so much energy that data centers now use 2% of global electricity, comparable to the entire airline industry's carbon footprint. By using light photons instead of electrons, this photonic chip bypasses the fundamental speed and energy limits that electronic processors are hitting, enabling AI systems that were previously impossible to power. Companies like NVIDIA are already using the micro-ring modulators that make this technology work, suggesting commercial adoption could happen rapidly and transform computing infrastructure. This chip could enable AI assistants that process vastly more information in real time, make advanced technology more affordable, and dramatically shrink the environmental impact. The breakthrough represents a fundamental shift from electronic to photonic computing that scientists have theorized for decades but couldn't implement practically until now. Countries and companies that master this light-based computing technology will dominate the global economy as AI becomes the foundation of every industry. Will photonic chips finally make unlimited AI power sustainable, or are we just replacing one technological bottleneck with another?
We have a massive update on the body that was found decomposing in David's car, and after what we just found out, this is not going to end well for David. So for context, yesterday a decomposed body was found in the front trunk of a Tesla, which was sitting in a tow lot for about 6 to 7 days, and the car belonged to this guy and his name is David, where somebody noticed that the car was emitting a stinky, fishy coochie smell. But this is where it gets even more worser. David is a musician that is on tour right now where he sings the song In the Back of My Mind. Now people are saying that David was set up, as David has been on tour for the past few weeks, and although right now it is looking that David is innocent as he is cooperating with police, as well as he has not canceled any of his future tour dates, but this is where it gets even more insaner. And they found the body in the Tesla. The body was found wrapped in a bag, and that the body is chopped and decomposed so bad that as of now they literally cannot identify who it is. And even more worse for David, Teslas quite literally have cameras throughout the entire car, including the front trunk. David's response so far has been to not cancel his shows. This is all alleged. Do you think David really did it?
Then and I heard the reason why I know Dave is because he made that song with Jason Wayne, popular streamer. And I just saw a couple of days ago some brands dropped him. That's scary, man. Like I said, but there's Teslas, there's cameras all over the Tesla, so you should know who did it, I guess.
The fuck on. I actually totally forgot about that announcement that was coming through to everybody's phones in the UK today, and it was a test. Test in case there is a disaster. A warning. I'm mid-driving, my phone goes into full-blown panic mode, sending all these alarms off. Then I realised what had happened. But you know where else I realised? For 5 minutes, I had no phone service. I had no signal. I couldn't do anything. Now, I don't trust the government at the best of times, and I hate to be the conspiracy theorist here, but I'm going to anyway. Is this something more? Is this them showing us that they have the power to black us out? I don't know, you know. Do we in the UK really need these warning messages for a disaster? How long have you lived in the UK, and how many times have you experienced a crazy tornado or an earthquake or something like that? Am I stupid for not turning off the alert? Yes. Partly because I forgot. Will I be turning it off in the future? Yes. But I do believe that there is something more to this.
Y'all,
no service. Weird.
This right here is a depiction of what's currently going on in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Shout out to World Signs on YouTube. You guys should give him a follow because he literally be posting some good stuff that's currently taking place around the world that not too many people are speaking of. All right, great YouTube channel. But this is exactly what's happening in the Pacific Ring of Fire right now, y'all. This thing looks like it's getting ready to unlock a final boss, a final level boss. Everything is on fire over there. If it's not on fire, it's erupting, and it's just it's brewing. Something is coming from under there. Now, you guys don't have to believe me on this one, but I truly believe this has to do with, you know, Godzilla and all this type of thing. This is the reason why a whole bunch of people were getting banned off of TikTok last year when they were talking about the, you know what I'm saying, right? And then again, it's Japan that's over there. And what is Japan known for? They're known for Godzilla. So is something brewing out of there, y'all? Is there about to be a big lizard coming out of there? And with the concern that potentially Japan could get hit with a catastrophic earthquake or tsunami, people have been evacuating Japan. Even the tourism industry, beginning at the end of May, June, July has been completely dead in Japan. Even in the summertime, Japan gets unbearably hot. That's the reason why they have the umbrellas. They say even around that time, Japan is popping. But right now, it's different. It's a ghost town in Tokyo. So yes, y'all, what do you guys think, man? The shift is here, man. Something is shifting underneath Tokyo.
Actually, there are earthquakes in Japan, so that anyone visiting Japan has to accept some minor risk that a big earthquake could happen anytime, including while they're here. Do you come to Japan as a tourist or not? People have to make up their own.
We're gonna keep an eye on this over here. We're gonna keep an eye on this, y'all. But let me know down in the comments. Y'all see these faces? Can y'all see faces? I see faces. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below, y'all. The shift is here. Y'all see it. Let's get it. Peace in.
Did y'all see the faces? Got a zombie leg, bro. What the hell is that?
How rare is your body? Let's find out. About 75% of people have a deviated septum, and this is a condition in which the bone and cartilage that divide the nose in half are crooked, making one nasal passage smaller than the other, and it's known to cause nosebleeds, problems breathing, or loud breathing when you're sleeping. Less than 1% of people have an extra finger crease, and it's also called camptodactyly, and it's just when you have an extra little ridge on your fingers, and it is most common on your pinky. Less than 1% of people have an eyeball scar. This is also called a macular pucker, and it's just scar tissue that forms in your eye. And it's known to cause blurred or distorted vision. And it's caused when the vitreous, which is the gel-like part of your eye, starts to pull away from the retina. Less than 1% of people can hear colors or see sounds. For example, this could happen as soon as someone hears a sound, they automatically see the color red, or as soon as they read a word, a certain color pops into their mind. About 33% of people experience motion sickness, and this 33% are highly susceptible to motion sickness, while the rest just experience it in extreme conditions. And it's caused when your brain starts to get signals from your body that it's moving, but they're mismatched and don't match up.
You were today years old when you found this out. When you see an alligator's head popping out of the water, they're not floating, they're actually standing up. If you're ever in an elevator and someone pushes all the buttons, just press each button twice to avoid going to those floors. I was today years old when I realized Toad from Mario isn't actually a mushroom, it's just a hat. The flap on your fries box actually has a purpose. You can put your sauce there to dip your fries in. Did you know there's actually a use for the back of the toothbrush? It's supposed to be used to clean your tongue. Okay, there are giant clouds in space filled with alcohol. And I was today years old when I realized that Subway Surfers was a game a dad created in memory of his son that died while skating in the train tracks.
Wow, I never knew that about Subway Surfers. That's an OG game.
Morbid Facts, Part 6. This photo from 1954 shows two little Australian boys playing in a sandbox full of asbestos. This was during a time when very little was known about the effects of asbestos on humans, as both boys eventually died from mesothelioma before the age of 40. Archaeologists working at the ancient Roman city of Pompeii, Italy, uncovered the remains of a 30-year-old man who appeared to have survived the initial eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD, only to be killed when he was struck by a large slab of stone. The lowest form of accommodation in Victorian England was a place where you could dangle over a rope overnight for the price of a penny. For centuries, the feet of Chinese women were tightly bound from a young age as part of a traditional custom, causing the breaking and bending of the toe and foot bones. This resulted in extremely disfigured feet that resembled the hooves of animals. In 1963, two criminal scammers in Mexico convinced an entire village that they were prophets and demanded tribute and worship. They soon paid prostitute Magdalena Solis to imitate an Incan goddess as part of the scam. Suffering from religious delusion, she started to genuinely believe that she was a goddess. Magdalena soon took over the village and started sacrificing her followers and drinking their blood.
So it turns out the Annabelle doll was not missing, was never going to Chicago, and is supposedly back home where she belongs in the Warrens Museum.
Annabelle is not missing. Annabelle is back home in the museum.
And that's all according to Ryan, who's either the new owner or the new caretaker of the Annabelle doll, who decided to take her on tour, even saying in his video that they are going to continue the tour. They're just not going to disclose where they're going yet. But you would think after this happened, and 10 prisoners escaping around the same time, we should want to keep her where she's supposed to be. But I don't see how the narrative is fake that she went missing. It was absolutely everywhere, meaning that all of these other places that had it posted were just lying. Or were they? Because I personally think that she did go missing. I personally think that she was stolen and they were able to get her back. Or they're just not telling us something. Because this narrative would never have gone so big if there was an immediate response. Which, like I said, gets me to think that something definitely happened on the way back to bringing her to the Warrens Museum. Now look, like I said, the last place she was supposed to be was in Texas, and that was a couple days ago. And supposedly her Eras World Tour is going to continue after she takes a little bit of a pit stop back at the Warrens Museum. I don't trust it.
Neither do I. I think, like you said, I think she really did go missing. They just managed to get her back. Because everybody was talking about that. All that stuff happening too. That wasn't a coincidence. Couldn't be.
Imagine being held captive for more than 20 years, but then while you sit there and realize that no one is coming to save you, you set the house on fire and you're finally free. That's exactly what happened to now a 32-year-old man who was held captive in his room since the age 11. When he was found by police, he was extremely malnourished, weighing only 68 pounds, which is insane for a 32-year-old. It was said that at one point he attended school like a normal kid, but then he was pulled out and he was homeschooled, but eventually he just never left the house again. So on February 17th at approximately 8:42 p.m., 56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan called police and said that her house was on fire. When police arrived, they found a 32-year-old man in horrible living conditions, and he told police that he intentionally set his bedroom on fire because he's been held captive since he was 11 and wanted to be free. He then said that his father, who died a year ago, let him out of the room for longer periods of time, but after his death, it was just him and his stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan. He told police that DSF visited the home when he was a child after people were concerned over his weight and that he was stealing food and eating things out of the garbage. But at the time when DSF spoke to him, he said that he was forced to say that everything was fine because his stepmom and father threatened to not feed him. Kimberly was arrested, but she pleaded not guilty, and her defense as of right now is that she has nothing to do with this and it was all her husband who passed away. Now, the worst part, which really pissed me off, is that this woman was released on bail. She's wearing an ankle monitor, but she's out. She's walking free after this man endured so much abuse for the last 20 years.
I have an update on the model in Dubai that was found on the side of the road with her spine and limbs broken near a construction site. Ukrainian authorities have now launched a sex trafficking probe into Dubai, trying to figure out if she was sex trafficked. That's what they believe happened to her so far. She was there for modeling. She's an OF model, so they believe that the two men kind of coerced her to come there so they could traffic her. Dubai police are saying her injuries are a result of a fall from the construction site. Maybe the men took her up there and then pushed her off. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's a cover-up. Last time I talked about her a week or two ago, she underwent 3 operations to save her life. She just went under a 4th one, and she's now in stable condition instead of critical condition. A lot of people thought she was at a porta potty event. For those that don't know what that is, buckle up when I tell you this. A porta potty event is when IG influencers get invited to Dubai to undergo basically like humiliation. Wealthy men basically will buy out somebody to humiliate them. They'll do whatever. It's really disgusting. That made headlines about a year ago. That's not confirmed if she was at that kind of event or not, but it is speculated. No suspects have been identified right now, but I will keep you guys updated as the probe and investigation continues. What are your opinions on this story?
That's crazy that somebody would literally buy a person just to humiliate them. The porta potty event? I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. That sounds disturbing.
It's the world's most immoral bird. It's the cuckoo bird, and you're gonna hate them after what I'm gonna tell you. Cuckoo birds abandon their eggs in the nests of other birds in hopes that they will fool them into raising the cuckoo bird as one of their own, and they never come back. And cuckoo birds know it can be suspicious if there's just an extra egg sitting in the nest when the mother bird comes back, so that's why they'll normally grab one and throw it out of the nest so there's the same amount. And you're probably thinking, well, won't it be obvious the egg will just be different looking, a different color, different size? Nope, cuckoos have the ability to mimic the color and pattern of their host's eggs like these. So when the mother, the host, comes back to the nest, they don't suspect anything. And it gets crazier. The cuckoo egg hatches before the other eggs because of science reasons I'm not going to get into. And this is important because when the baby's born, when the mother goes out of the nest, the baby bird just being born will put the other eggs on its back and push them out of the nest so it is the only one left. And the goal is to claim all of the food and attention for itself, and when the mother comes back to the nest, it will continue to raise it and feed it as one of its own, even though it's a little bit bigger than the mother.
This is one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. This is Mary Ann Bevan. The world labeled her as the ugliest woman in the world, but no one ever stopped to ask who she really was. She was just a mother, fighting to survive. Mary was once a nurse in England. She was a beautiful woman, but everything changed after her husband, Thomas Bevan, died in 1914. Soon after, she began to show signs of a rare condition called acromegaly, a disorder that caused her face and body to grow and distort painfully. People were staring at her all the time. Even the doctors weren't able to help. She had no money, she had no help, and she had to feed 4 of her children. Mary entered a contest, the Ugliest Woman in the World contest, and she won. Not out of pride, out of necessity. After that, she joined a circus to make some money. She stood on stage and she was laughed at. She was mocked, but she held it in. She endured it, all of it, because all the money she made went to her children. Mary endured cruelty for her children's future. Mary Ann Bevan was never ugly. She was brave, and her sacrifice was the most beautiful thing about her.
Let's see if you have arachnophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. Try your best to make it through all 5. Let's start the test. First one. Here's another. Feeling uneasy?
I'm cool.
Keep going. Last one. So how did you do? Did you make it through all 5? If not, then you could have arachnophobia, which is the fear of spiders. Let me know if you have arachnophobia in the comments below. Hit the plus sign and follow me to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
I'm cool, but we still don't mess with spiders. That's a no. Yeah, I know we don't do spiders over here, man. I'm cool watching them on video, but in person, no.
In May of 1979, David Booth, an office worker from Ohio, experienced a series of vivid nightmares over 10 consecutive nights. In these dreams, he saw a large American Airlines jet attempting to take off on a bright sunny day. As the plane accelerated down the runway, he sensed that something was wrong with the engine's sound. Suddenly, the aircraft lifted off, banked sharply, and crashed into a fiery explosion, leaving him overwhelmed with a profound sense of despair. Troubled by the reoccurring nature of these dreams, Booth contacted the FAA to report his concerns. He spoke with Jack Barker, the FAA's public affairs director, who found Booth to be sincere and coherent. However, without specific details like a flight number or an exact location, there was little the FAA could do. On May 25th, 1979, American Airlines Flight 191 crashed shortly after takeoff from Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. The left engine separated from the wing, causing the aircraft to lose control and crash, killing all 271 people on board and 2 individuals on the ground. The crash mirrored the sequence of events that Booth had described in his nightmare. This tragic accident remains the deadliest aviation accident in U.S. history. Booth's experience has since been cited in discussions about precognitive phenomenon and the mysteries of the human consciousness.
You were taught that you probably still believe. Number 1, that cracking your knuckles will cause arthritis. While cracking your knuckles might sound and look damaging, it does not cause arthritis. That loud pop that you hear when you crack your knuckles is caused by bubbles bursting in your synovial fluid, and the bubbles pop when you pull the bones apart. Blood in your veins is blue. If you look down at your arm, you can probably see your veins and see they look blue. However, your blood is not actually blue in your veins. Blood is either red or dark red, but never blue. Your veins look blue because of your skin. Blue light does not penetrate human tissue as deeply as red light does, and as a result, veins that are close to the surface of the skin will be more likely to reflect blue light back to your eyes. You can hear the sound of the ocean in shells. This is a myth. The sound you hear when you put a shell against your ear has nothing to do with it being from the ocean. It's actually part of the background noise around you, just turned up a little bit by the shell. So if you're next to the ocean, the shell picks up the sound of the ocean, the alpha wolf. There's actually no such thing as an alpha wolf. This idea was brought about in a paper from the 1970s, but the author later said in a paper that he rejected the idea of an alpha wolf. While it's true that multiple wolves who share a small space in captivity will develop alpha and beta-like hierarchies, wild wolves behave nothing like this. In the wild, a wolf pack is typically formed by monogamous parents and their puppies, and the wolf pack is basically a tightly knit family consisting of parents or breeders and their offspring, not an alpha and beta.
Insane things happening right now. Reportedly, the Menendez brothers could be out of jail within 2 weeks now. Now, this has, of course, been going on for some time now. They said they'd be home before Thanksgiving, and it didn't happen. But representation and the hearings are set to start, so it could happen soon. This Air Force veteran has come forward with claims that he helped retrieve a UFO by the US government. Said he saw these crazy bright lights and then was ordered to, well, retrieve it. The story's just breaking, but I'll keep you posted. Now, this is insane, but classified CIA documents have come out that stated back in the 1900s, people traveled to Mars using astral projection. I mean, I don't even know what to say about those headlines, it's mad. In the UK, a new digital ID is set to come into place. Set to introduce digital IDs, taking away the physical cards that you carry around and putting it onto a government server. A woman was left screaming in immense pain after leaving a you-know-what toy inside her during an MRI scan. Her, along with many other people, have now issued warnings to not do this, but I mean, why would you?
Here are the weirdest and most unbelievable creatures to ever wash up on the beach, part 2. First, in 2016, a group of fishermen stumbled across this huge 176-pound smelly thing that looked a lot like a rock. At first, they didn't think much of it, but shockingly, it was actually whale vomit, which is used to formulate luxury fragrances. Which means whale vomit can be sold at very high prices. This 176-pound chunk of the stuff was valued at $3 million. Damn. Next, in July of 2018, this creature that looks like a demon was found washed up on the shores of Montauk, New York. Supposedly, the creepy-looking carcass for some reason wasn't available for autopsy as it was carted away by an unknown group of people. Many have speculated it might be the mutant product of experimentation at the controversial Plum Island Animal Disease Center, which is near where the creature
lives with his dog, who is really just a man in a dog suit. Let's talk about the movie Good Boy. The film starts off with a guy named Christian and his dog. Obviously, this is not a real dog, and it's just a guy who dresses up as one. Christian is on a dating app hoping to meet someone, and that's when he comes across a girl named Sigrid. Once they're on their date, it seems like they're hitting it off pretty well. Sigrid is in school to become a psychologist, and Christian is just rich. They end up going back to Christian's home, which was inherited by his parents. They end up being intimate with each other, and Christian's dog is just watching. The next morning, Sigrid wakes up after spending the night and sees the dog just staring at them. She ends up freaking out and just leaving. She ends up telling her friend about this awful experience, and her friend convinces her to give him another chance since he's rich. When she goes back to see Christian, she is formally introduced to his dog, Frank. He tells her that she must treat him as a dog at all times or something bad can happen. Frank is going all crazy, like jumping on Sigrid, and Christian is feeling embarrassed. Christian was his only friend growing up, and he wanted to be there for him for whatever he wanted to do. The three end up going on a cabin trip, and Sigrid is told to give up her phone because she's on it too much. Once Christian leaves the room, Frank tells Sigrid that they need to leave because Christian is actually crazy. Sigrid and Frank end up going on a walk alone, and they are trying to come up with a plan to leave. The only thing that Sigrid can do is attack Christian while he's asleep, or they will be stuck. Christian gives Sigrid a drink which is spiked, and it causes her to pass out. Once she wakes up, Christian plays her an audio, and it's her talking with Frank about a plan to escape. Frank then bites Christian, and Sigrid attempts to take the keys. She is unable to escape, so she goes back to Frank and Christian and hits Christian with a stick. He ends up doing the same thing to her, and she passes out with Frank. Some time goes on, and Frank is in a cage, and Christian is giving him food. Cut to Sigrid, and she is in a completely different room. She's dressed as a dog and acting like a dog. As Christian is preparing food, he places it on the floor, and a child dressed in a fuzzy onesie crawls to it. The end.
People Who Mysteriously Disappeared with No Explanation Part 3. On October 21st, 1978, Australian pilot Frederick Valentic was flying over Australia's Bass Strait when he radioed in that an unidentified flying object was following him. According to the transcript, the UFO was tracking him, stopped in midair, and then vanished. His last transmission was "It's hovering and it's not an aircraft," followed by white noise. No trace of Valentic or his plane were ever discovered. In July of 1916, Hungarian police raided the home of a man named Bela Kiss while he was serving in World War I. To their horror, the team found the bodies of 24 women, all with puncture wounds on their necks and their blood drained, which led many to believe that Kiss was a vampire. On October 4th, investigators tracked the killer to a Serbian hospital, only to find on their arrival that he'd vanished and a dead soldier in the bed where he'd recently been in.
Morbid Facts, Part 8. This photo from 1904 shows a rubber worker from the Belgian Congo staring at the severed hands and feet of his 5-year-old daughter. She was brutally murdered because he failed to meet his quota for the day. When Japan executes criminals by hanging, 3 different buttons on the wall are pressed by 3 different people at the same time. This is so that none of them know who actually did the killing, since only one button is randomly programmed to open the trap door. In 2008, a Brazilian priest strapped 1,000 balloons onto a lawn chair and rode it into the sky as part of a fundraiser. He was able to reach an altitude of 20,000 feet before losing contact with authorities. Over a month later, the lower half of his body was found floating near an oil rig. In 1958, North Carolina, a white girl told her parents that she kissed 2 black boys aged 7 and 9 on the cheeks. The girl's father then arranged a mob to the boys' homes where they threatened to lynch them and their parents. Soon enough, police showed up and proceeded to arrest and severely beat the young boys themselves. Charged with rape, they were confined for 6 days without being able to contact their parents. The boys spent 4 months in prison before finally being pardoned by the governor. It's infamously known as the kissing case of 1958.
Just by a kiss on the cheek. Man, those are some dark times. They ain't been doing anything. You're not alone? Somebody watching you?
After hearing this story, I'll guarantee you'll check a specific place in your house tonight before you go to sleep. A Japanese man lived alone in the sleepy town of Kasuya, started noticing that small amounts of food from around his house were going missing. He was convinced that it was a burglar. Every night before bed, he checked that the doors and windows were locked, but still his food was disappearing. Now confused and frustrated, he installed security cameras to catch the burglar in the act and find out how they were getting into his home. What he saw when he checked the footage the next day is shocking. The cameras showed a 58-year-old woman he didn't know opening his fridge door and stealing food. He immediately checked all the doors and windows, all still locked. Then he realised she wasn't breaking in, she was already in the house. In a panic, he phoned the police. They searched his house from top to bottom. An officer slid open a wardrobe to find a homeless woman living on the top shelf of his closet, and from the look of it, she'd been there for several months.
What do you imagine the fairy tale character Rapunzel would look like? This actress received racist backlash online after rumors spread she'd be playing the princess. Some argue that the part should be played by a European actress because it's a European story. The story rose to popularity after being published in 1812 by German folklorists, but was believed to have been based on earlier stories from France and Italy. Some researchers believe that the story may have been derived from pre-Christian European beliefs, as the maiden in tower archetype seems to have been present across a range of cultures. Examples include the Greek myth of Danae, who was imprisoned in a bronze tower, or the Baltic goddess Sholay, who was also held in a tower by a king. Seeing that the maiden in a tower archetype has existed in multiple Indo-European speaking cultures, we should also acknowledge that the Indo-European speaking world extends past the borders of Europe and well into Asia. This is important because it seems that the earliest documented tale of a maiden in a tower that also features her letting down her hair to her savior comes from Persia. In the famous Persian epic known as Shahnameh, a princess by the name of Rudabah is trapped in a tower and lets down her hair to assist her savior in climbing up. Of course, I'm not implying that Rapunzel is a rip-off of Rudaba, but rather that all these tales may have a common place of origin, perhaps tracing back to the Proto-Indo-Europeans.
Her mom sold her to be used for a ritual. 6-year-old Jocelyn Smith was from South Africa and was always known to have a beautiful smile on her face. On February 19th of 2024, Jocelyn was not feeling well, and instead of her mom Kelly staying home to take care of her, she left her alone with her boyfriend Jochen. By the time Kelly arrived home, Jocelyn was missing. Now Kelly didn't seem worried at all. She continued with her day as normal and even went on a trip a couple days later. Neighbors in the area were worried and searching for Jocelyn, while Kelly, on the other hand, was completely chill and didn't have a care in the world. People in the local community started talking and found out that Kelly sold Jocelyn. She had sold her to a traditional healer in South Africa known as a Sangoma, and they wanted her for her eyes and skin. Jocelyn's body parts would be used in rituals in return for money. A local pastor had testified that he had once heard Kelly talking about selling Jocelyn for $1,100 but would go down to $275 if she needed to. Kelly, her boyfriend Jochen, and a friend named Savino were all arrested in connection to Jocelyn's disappearance. In May of 2025, the three were all found guilty, and even though there was no evidence, the testimonies is what did it, and the three were sentenced to life in prison. When they got their sentence, Kelly was shedding some tears, and their friend Stavino was smiling and had no remorse whatsoever. To this day, Jocelyn's body has not been recovered.
Monster, man. How you gonna smile after what just went down? People who don't have no remorse are one of the most dangerous people in the world.
She put her 28-year-old infant in the microwave after a heated argument with her boyfriend. The argument was concerning the child's paternity, and she ended the child's life because of this. This happened all the way back in 2005, and China Arnold was responsible for this. Medical evidence suggested the baby's internal temperature reached over 107 degrees. There were no external injuries or burns outside, so this was just microwave radiation, just heating the body up from the inside out. And this is even worse than an external burn, obviously. It goes straight inside of you, it boils you alive from the inside out. Arnold's defense claimed that she was intoxicated, and then they also tried to claim there was like third-party factors here that impacted her decision and everything like that. But the jury did not buy it, the judge did not buy it at all. They sentenced her to life without parole in 2011. And apparently, while she was in prison after she got sentenced, she told a cellmate that she put the baby in the microwave to kill it because she was worried her boyfriend would hurt her or break up with her if he found out it wasn't his. This is just such a sickening story. I don't know how people could live like this. What are your opinions on this story? This happened in Ohio.
Morbid Facts, Part 10. When 13-year-old Ryan White got AIDS from a blood donor in 1984, he was only given 6 months to live. Even though doctors said he posed absolutely zero risk to other students, Ryan was banned from returning to school by a petition signed by 117 parents. An auction was even held to raise funds to keep him out, and a local newspaper that supported him received death threats. The family had no other choice but to leave town when a bullet was shot through the window of their home. Ryan outlived the doctor's diagnosis by 5 years, dying at the age of 19. In 2009, Moscow native Julia Popova was stabbed in the neck by a mugger. But she was in so much shock that she walked home without even realizing that the knife was embedded in her, just millimeters from her spinal cord. She spent over an hour with the blade in her back before finally going to the hospital. The knife was successfully removed via surgery, and Julia made a full recovery. Dutchman Dirk Willems was a religious prisoner who escaped his execution in 1569. When the guard chasing him fell through the ice in a nearby river, Willems turned around to save him. He was then recaptured and burned at the stake. Your lungs have a total surface area of 750 square feet, meaning if they were opened up and laid flat, they would cover the entire size of a tennis court. In 1977, the drummer for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Artemis Pyle, survived the plane crash that killed half the band. He then walked to a nearby house for help, only to be shot by the homeowner. He was apparently startled by the sight of a long-haired, bloody man, and fired a warning shot that hit the drummer in the shoulder. Once Pyle shouted that there was a crash, the farmer helped him and he went on to recover.
I always knew not to believe everything that I see on social media, but this story about this guy who manipulated thousands of women by pretending to be something he wasn't is absolutely insane. I don't know if you guys have heard about this TikToker who created content preaching about healthy relationships and teaching men how to be better partners, and he portrayed himself as being this caring and respectful man. Well, he recently murdered his ex-girlfriend. The crazy part about this story is that I actually know of a woman who was supposed to fly out from Toronto to Miami to meet this man sometime before he took his ex-girlfriend's life. Thank God she didn't go. This guy's name is Joy Chandranath. He's 29 years old, and this happened in Miami, and he stabbed his ex-girlfriend. She was 24 years old, and her name was Maria Camila Garcia Molina, in her car, and apparently her 3-year-old daughter was in the car and saw everything. Her daughter was found wandering alone on the street, and she was covered in her mother's blood, and they later found Maria's body in her car with stab wounds all over. Police arrested this man after Maria's daughter told them that her mother was with Joy and then she fell asleep. Investigators said that Maria had a restraining order against this man when he began stalking her after she ended things in November 2024. Before her death, Maria found an AirTag in her car and she caught this man hiding near her house several times. When they arrested him, he had scratches all over his face and he also had Maria's phone and purse on him, but he said that she had gave it to him that morning. Like I said, I know of someone who met this man on a dating app on Facebook. I guess it's like Facebook dating. And she was supposed to fly out from Toronto to Miami to go meet him, but she completely cut him off before this thing happened after another girl reached out to her to tell her that he was also talking to her at the same time. And apparently he was talking to so many women at the same time. He was charged with second-degree murder and he's in the Miami-Dade County Jail and he has no bond. I think it's very common for people to meet on dating apps nowadays. I mean, I've done it, but it's very important to always be aware and know that there are risks because you don't know who this person is at the end of the day. People are so unhinged nowadays and someone can put up this whole facade about themselves on social media or a dating app and you wouldn't even know it. And this is my own personal opinion, but I would never fly out to go meet anyone. I think the risks are a lot higher. You're going to a different country to see someone that you've never seen before. If anything, they're coming here where I feel safe and I have family.
Yep. Doing online dating app, man. I gotta be careful if y'all meeting up, always doing a public place. I gotta build that trust up. Yeah, some crazy out here nowadays, so you can never be too careful. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate your support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.